Hello, hello, hello. There we go. Sorry about that. It deselected my microphone. How's everyone doing? Welcome to another Tinfoil Friday. Hope you're all having a good end of your week so far. Hope you're getting ready for the weekend. Today we have so many fun videos to take a look at. The one I'm particularly excited about. You all know how big of a film nerd I am. You guys know I'm a big fan of the Godzilla series. I own all of the films that are live action, except for Godzilla vs. Biollante, which is actually coming out in a couple months near my birthday. So that's cool. We have a gentleman who believes that it's a Psy-Op or that it's a predictive programming. That's like a 40-minute video where he just talks about the movie Godzilla and all the conspiracy stuff he sees in it, which is great, because I love Godzilla. So that'll be fun. Also kind of appropriate costume. Godzilla, at least in some canons, is descended from the Godzillasaurus. So he's kind of a dinosaur that got mutated in certain timelines. That's pseudo-appropriate, I guess. I promise I won't smash any pagodas, at least not unless they provoke me first. Have I seen the final experiment and the fallout of it? I have. I've covered that quite a bit, actually. You can see some of my VODs. I've done whole streams just about it. I find it really interesting seeing how conspiracies and groups of conspiracy theorists react when their worldview is shaken like that. Usually they retreat further into that worldview, which is what we've by and large seen from a lot of the final experiment stuff, except for Jeranism, who I'm kind of proud of. I still haven't decided yet. Dinosaurs were the original kaiju. It's actually interesting, the history. This is not a film history stream. This is not a film history stream, Hannah. We don't need to go from early dinosaur films like Dinosaurus or The Land That Time Forgot and track it into Godzilla. We're not doing it today. Anyway, though, we have tons of stuff to take a look at today, and it should be fun. We are playing bingo, so if you want, make sure you get your tinfoil bingo cards using the command !bingo in chat, no space. You'll get your card, 1 card per person, please. And the first winner gets a free gift sub if they are on Twitch. On YouTube, I just have to gift a random membership, because it doesn't let me gift to specific people, I don't think, unless they've changed it. But either way, should be fun. Should be fun. Someone says, my favorite reaction to the final experiment is the suggestion that they made a sphere like in Las Vegas somewhere and that it isn't as expensive as they say it is. Yeah, like the sphere cost billions of dollars to build. We also saw them go to Antarctica. Like there's a time lapse of the entire trip of them getting on the plane, flying there, landing. Hannah mentions Blu-rays on the bingo card. Did I mention Blu-rays? I mentioned film history. That's not necessarily Blu-rays. I gestured at them. I'll count that, sure. Hannah mentions Blu-rays. Anyway, so, if you're on YouTube, do me a favor and like the stream. It helps a lot. Just a little thumbs up. I did mention Biollante. Shit, you're right. Okay. Yep, that's my bad. Hannah mentions Blu-rays on the bingo card. We haven't even started a video yet, and I already gave you a space. Being very generous today, I guess. So yeah, like if you're on YouTube, and if you want, you can help us reach our sub goal. We're only 17 subs away, and it's the last day of the month. You can also tip. Rent's due tomorrow, so if you want to help out with that, you can always use the tip link. All right, enough shilling. Let's get into some videos. This first one is from Tom Palladino. We've seen him before. He's the guy that does that scalar light healing, quote-unquote healing. He has that bullshit device that he claims he can use to heal you from far away. So, let's check it out. We have a few videos from him today. Oh, that was an interesting intro.
Hi, my name's Tom Palladino. I'm a scalar light researcher. In the background is my scalar light laboratory, one of my laboratories. And today I want to stress just how simple and straightforward this science of scalar energy is. It's simple, it's straightforward because we're working with light, scalar light, which is fundamental. Now, when I work with scalar light instruments, I work exclusively with photographs. This is the way these instruments are designed to operate. So I'm going to hold up my photograph, and I'm going to demonstrate how I can access my information code, my scalar energy information code on my photograph. Again, I work exclusively with photographs. This is how a scalar light instrument works.
Hey, non-binary.
And I can access a dimension outside of electricity and magnetism. In other words,
a dimension outside of electricity and magnetism. I can't even begin to understand what that means. Dimensions beyond our own on the bingo card? So if you're not following the gibberish this guy is saying, basically, he has this machine. He claims it uses what he calls scalar energy. Now, I do believe last time we covered him, someone brought up that scalar energy is an actual thing, but not what he's talking about. It's like an energy without a... Was it without a vector? I don't remember what it is. It's irrelevant because he's talking bullshit anyway. Basically, he's got a big machine that does nothing, but he claims he can put your picture in it and send these scalar energies into it, and it'll heal you of whatever ailment you might have. Like quantum, yeah, he's just using buzzwords. He's Deepak Chopra-ing, you know?
Scalar energy is not of the electromagnetic spectrum. So if I were to place my photograph inside this instrument, I would enjoy a scalar light connection. This is a scalar energy instrument. And I've placed my photograph inside that instrument. Now
Is it even really in the box? Like half of it's outside of it. You know how to use your own machine, sir?
I'm connected by way of this notion of quantum entanglement, or what some...
By the way, he does actually have some followers, and I guarantee whenever he dies, like, you know, everyone dies, everyone's mortal, I'm gonna imagine that when he dies, his followers are gonna be like, they got to him. He was too powerful. The big medical industry couldn't handle this brilliant man taking away their profits. Even if he died at, like, 115... They're still gonna claim it's some Psy-Op or something. My research, yes, my research said by a non-researcher on the bingo card.
People might call the mystical body of Christ, in which everything in the quantum field, which is non-physical, it's an information field. It's a
word salad on the bingo card. I don't know if you guys can see because the frame cuts off a little. No, you can't. All right, I'll move this so you can see it. In his lab full of scientific equipment, he happens to have the most important scientific equipment of all, a disco ball. Funky.
a field of perfection. So I have to stress that what I'm working with is a non-physical quantum field of information. Right now, my photograph is immersed in a scalar energy environment, and hence I can connect to that information field. Now, I'm going to demonstrate how I would act upon a microbe, in this case, the hepatitis C virus. That is, I will work with a photograph of a microbe. In this case, that's a magnified photograph of the hepatitis C virus.
So wait, okay, to be clear, you're saying if you put a photo of a person in the box, it'll work for that specific person. But if I put a photo of a virus in the box, it's not going to target that specific virus because you took a picture of like one viral, I don't know what they're called. They're not alive, so they're not cells, I don't think. What are they called? One virus thing. Wouldn't it only work on this one? It works on all of that kind of virus in your body? Then why wouldn't putting a photo of a human affect all humans? You know what I mean? Do you see the disconnect here? When you put in a picture of a person, it only counts for that one person. When you put in a picture of a virus, it works for all the virus, virons in their body. Thank you, Magos Informaticus. Hey, good name. Yeah.
And in so doing, the scalar energy instrument will look for this microbe, this germ, hepatitis C virus, and if it finds that germ in my quantum field, it will eradicate, break apart.
You gotta keep an eye on those germs in your quantum field, of course.
Microbe in the quantum field. So I use photographs of microbes in order to access my quantum field and to search for that very microbe in my quantum field in my information field. So I take this photograph of hepatitis C and I place it inside the scalar energy environment so that the instrument is now decoding or in some way deciphering.
Viron is not the plural of virus. Viron is an inactive virus. The plural is just viruses. Okay, thank you.
Hepatitis C virus, the molecular structure, the atomic structure, the essence of hepatitis C virus. So as you can see now, my photograph is communicating with the hepatitis C virus.
Question, you said as I can see, I don't see them communicating, I see them touching. But they're not communicating, you just put them in a box together. Sir, what do you think communication is? What are you talking about?
In the quantum field. This is non-physical action, spirit action.
Green guy with a $3 tip says, Hannah, he's making perfect sense. You are not. Get over it. It's true. My frequencies are too low to understand the very real science. Not inactivated, you meant encapsulated? Okay, thank you.
And if I had in my photograph hepatitis C virus, this instrument, by this function, would not only identify the hepatitis C virus on my photograph, but would break it apart, would actually break down the atomic and molecular bonds that hold together the hepatitis C virus. So this is a simple and straightforward method of detecting microbes, germs, in a person's spirit body, in a person's quantum body, and then with
is quantum body synonymous with whatever he said, spirit body? Or are those two separate things?
The aid of this instrument to break down.
You're not 5G, Hannah. Get on their level. You mean 5D, obviously.
Atomic and
get your facts straight, Phoenix.
Molecular bonds responsible for holding together, for giving the molecular structure of the hepatitis C virus. Now, I've coined the term scalar light pathogenic lens. This is one of the processes that I've developed over the years. And again, I want to inculcate the fact that this is a new and emerging science. My process is
what if the machine reverses polarity and breaks down the person rather than the virus? That's why you never reverse the polarity of the neutron flow unless you're sure the quantum fluctuations are in harmony with the tactile numerons that are consequently found within the luminiferous aether.
I believe that these instruments are unique. I don't know of anybody in the world that has this capability, simply by virtue of the fact that what I'm doing is novel. It's groundbreaking. So this is the simple, straightforward technique, procedure to ascertain the presence of the hepatitis C virus in a person's quantum field and then to break it apart. And I'll have more lessons, more.
BC on YouTube says a scalar is a mathematical thing that means a quantity without a vector or direction. Velocity is a vector and has direction. Speed is a scalar. It's just an absolute number. Thank you. So he's saying that this energy does not have any sort of vector or intensity. Okay. That means nothing, but cool.
More,
what you said meant something. I'm saying what he is saying doesn't mean anything.
Indications as to where the science is going, and I'll, if you will, release that information and create other videos as we move forward in this new and emerging science of scalar light. My final comment is...
How can you send a vectorless thing? You can't. That's why they put it in the box. They don't actually send it. You're entangled quantumly with your photo that shares your scalar quantum presence in the box. It's not sending it, man. You're entangled with your spirit essence. Man, in a different life, I could have made a real good scam artist.
Scalar light is free energy. It's energy from the sun and the stars. So with that in mind, this technology...
Energy from the sun and the stars is electromagnetic energy, and it has a vector. What?
Will liberate mankind from the encumbrance of energy production. In other words, The new power plant are the sun and the stars of the universe. And these are free energy devices.
Intensity, yes, but the intensity isn't pointed in a direction in space, e.g. water pressure is scalar and it goes up as you go deeper underwater, but it isn't pointed anywhere. Ah, okay. I see. Okay.
We will no longer be shackled by this energy crisis. So one of my goals is to lift mankind, to liberate mankind, and no longer to be dependent upon energy production. The new power plant of the future are the sun and the stars of the universe. So my name is Tom.
Okay, but that energy is still coming from somewhere. You didn't invent solar energy.
You know, I'm a scalar light researcher, and I thank you for listening to my demonstration in my laboratory.
Mossloth says, new lore unlocked. She was a con woman in her last life. Now she must do these streams as karma. Does that mean in my next life I also get to be? Do I get to go back and forth? Can I be a scam artist in the next life too? Oh.
Hi, this is Tom Palladino. I am in my scalar energy laboratory. This is a scalar energy
Where does Scott Bakula come in? When I look in the mirror, obviously.
Instrument behind me. And I want to demonstrate how scalar energy can be used to break down, to disassemble viruses. But before I do that, I want to share with you one of the properties that I've noticed with scalar energy. In my hand, I hold a light bulb. And I've noticed that anytime I take a light bulb and I place that light bulb within a scalar energy environment, the light bulb.
Okay, but it's not scalar. Those are just like generators, basically. They generate an electromagnetic field. Like, I had those in like science class in high school. They used that as a demonstration in our physical science, or not our physical science class, in some science class, physics or something. I don't remember. Like, what? This is not what you're saying it is. It's just a general like field of electromagnetic energy. Ah.
Will illuminate. This is one of the properties of scalar energy. It's radiant energy. It's all around us.
Phoenix says, hi, Dr. Sam Beckett. Thanks for making the wrongs right.
And all we have to do is control that energy, harness that energy, and we can illuminate light
Miss Al.
bulbs, as well as other objects.
Donald Belisario won't let me die.
Example, this is a fluorescent tube, still in its factory packaging. When I place this fluorescent tube inside the scalar energy environment, it illuminates. I take it out of the environment, it's no longer illuminated. Place it in the environment, again, it's that radiant energy that will illuminate objects. So this is an information system. Well, today I'm going to demonstrate how
What does he mean it's an information system? None of what he just did makes it an information system.
Scalar energy can break apart, can disassemble the shingles virus. I hold in my hand a magnified photograph of the varicella zoster virus. This is the causative agent of shingles. I simply take...
I had chicken pox as a kid, so I might need the scalar energy. Screaming at the Radio says, I understand you stay clear of politics currently, but holy fucking shit, the RFK Jr. audition in the Senate was pure tinfoil. Yeah, it's gonna be hard to keep things completely separate. Like, I have some tinfoil that I pulled today that involves Trump, because conspiracy theorists tend to be paranoid of whoever is in power. So right now, because Trump and Republicans are in power, there are a decent number of conspiracies about Trump being the Antichrist, or trying to usher in the New World Order, stuff like that. So, it'll leak in. It's gonna leak in. I'm not gonna directly cover politics, probably, because what the fuck am I gonna say about it? You get it. Miss Quilanius, thanks for a 5-stream streak.
This magnified photograph of the shingles virus, and I place it inside my scalar energy instrument. In so doing now, my instrument is scanning that photograph, is interpreting that photograph.
I should say this. It's not that I'm going to entirely avoid politics, but I'm not going to do like Chud Watch for the time being, because I don't feel the need to go out and just find that stuff. I am fine looking at things from the conspiracy and debunking angle, and as politics, you know, it perforates that, we're going to see it, but I'm covering it from this angle, you know?
As such, the instrument can reverse the polarity of the shingles virus and then broadcast that information into the human body. That broadcast of energy would serve to disassemble the shingles virus inside the human body.
Are we going to go over foil about the DC crash? Yes.
Well, in practice, let's say I had the shingles and I wanted to eradicate varicella zoster from my body. All I would need to do is take a photograph of myself, place it inside the scalar energy instrument. The information from the photograph of the shingles virus then would be broadcast into my body. As such, my body then would have that informational input necessary to break down to transmute the molecular state of the shingles virus. This is a simple, painless procedure in which we can eradicate the
I believe it's painless. You're not doing anything.
shingles virus.
Like psychic surgery. Of course it doesn't hurt. It's a scam.
My name is Tom Palladino. This is a process that I call the pathogenic cleanse. And I believe someday in the future, the world will realize that this is the means whereby we can control and cure thousands of pathogenic diseases.
At least he actually believes in pathogens. My bar is so low in the Mariana Trench. Okay, let's do the Godzilla one. I've been raring to get to this. This will probably be the longest video we cover today. Let's actually take a look at the bingo card first, and then I'll go into the spiel about the Godzilla video. Because I know we had a decent number so far. We had... Believe sci-fi technology exists. My research said by a non-researcher. Anna mentions Blu-rays, word salad, shilling scamming, because I definitely think he knows what he's doing is bullshit, if I'm being honest. Poor understanding of the scientific method, I guess. That was maybe it, unless there's anything I'm missing that you guys see. Oh yeah, Dimensions Beyond Our Own. What number is that? Up here somewhere, maybe? Dimensions Beyond Our Own. There it is, 66. Alrighty. So now it's time for the Godzilla video. This is the one that I'm really excited to take a look at. I mean, I like all of them. I wouldn't have picked the videos if I didn't enjoy them. But this one got me excited today. You guys know how much of a film buff I am. This guy's got opinions, conspiracy opinions on Godzilla. So yeah, let's get into it. He does go into a little diatribe at the beginning about the public domain that I actually agree with. So I am gonna play that, but then it's conspiracy central. So check it out.
Hey guys, it's Matt. How many of you tune in because you want to be here at the precise moment that I crack? I don't go out and do anything. I don't engage with the screen very much through my television in a few different areas. This is unbelievable. I mean, it just keeps...
Fenguli, by the way.
Synchronicities, weird coincidences. This is impossible. We're going to talk about retrocausality. We're going to talk about what's going on with all we need to know that was fake world. we're larger than a fake world. But it's fun to talk about. So I'm watching this Svengoolie. I have this thing, MeTV. It shows MASH and old reruns of All in the Family or Hogan's Heroes. And like, what is this Svengoolie? And I'm so tired of the dumb old movies that Netflix shows and the same old recycled movies between Amazon Prime and, by the way, guys, I'm discovering a long list of things from the 70s and 80s that I'll share with you eventually. Just gems that they don't show on Netflix. They're almost like trying to hide.
Conspiracy flagged by Toho. Toho is pretty strict, but it'll be fine.
The system is just trying to pretend never existed. There's a litany.
I find that interesting how he says the system pretends never existed. I also have some issues with streaming services. For those that don't know, for instance, the oldest movie currently on Netflix is from, I think, 1976. That's the oldest movie on Netflix. There's a recency bias the streaming services. Often they'll cover stuff from the last like 30 or even 50 years, but beyond that, why even have it on there? Audiences aren't particularly interested in it, and it becomes this vicious cycle where it's not offered, so of course they're not interested. I'm not saying everyone's going to be interested in, pre-60s media, or pre-70s media. The 60s and earlier, even I, kind of delineate, right? The NPAA was instituted in 1969. A lot of things changed in the industry. So yeah, there's a pretty big difference between the post-70s and pre-70s movie world. But that said, it is still sad that a lot of people don't have an interest or availability to see those earlier works. What I'm trying to say is, doesn't understand his problem is capitalism on the bingo card. He's trying to say it's a conspiracy that people don't see these movies on Netflix. No, it's because Netflix is interested in licensing things they think their audience will watch. Their audience tend to be younger, or at least tech-savvy people. I guess not so much these days, but general audiences aren't super interested in old movies. That's it.
If that's even the right word. Great movies.
Tubi's pretty good for them. That's true. Tubi is pretty good because they can be licensed relatively cheaply.
Out there, if you're willing to go back to the 70s and the 80s. Sorry, let me continue my point. So what is this Svengoolie?
Tubi also has a lot of tokusatsu, which is cool.
Yeah, I knew basically what it was, and showing The Bride of Frankenstein, and he'll show an old movie, then pop in and out. I've gone by it 5 seconds here and 5 seconds there, but I'm so hard up and desperate. I'm going to watch some Svengoolie. What do you think happened? The first few minutes of watching it, I'll get right to the point, and then we'll continue it on the back end. I mean, this is reality. You have derailed. So I start to put together a few clips from the movie that I want to show you, and I'm like, wait a second, this has got to be in the public domain, right? It's so old.
Not even close. Godzilla, well, okay, so they came out different years. The original Godzilla from Japan is going to be slightly earlier than Godzilla King of the Monsters, which is the American re-edit that included these scenes with Raymond Burr. He played a character named Steve Martin. He was not in the original Japanese version. They added him in for American audiences. But this isn't going to be in the public domain until like 2050 something, 2050 or 2051, if I had to guess. It's quite a while until this is in the public domain.
Old. I thought it was from the 40s. It turns out it's from the 50s. 1956 Godzilla King of Monsters. And I'm like, am I going to have a copyright problem? And guys, you have to understand, whenever I've talked or complained about this, I'm in no way exaggerating. Somebody can show
54 for Gojira and 56 for King of the Monsters. Thank you.
minutes of Star Wars.
Yeah, because 29 just went into public domain this year. You can extrapolate from there.
With some dialogue and 3 seconds of an old movie, and they will flag the video. It's just not worth me playing any of it. I'm going to do it in a way where I don't think there'll be any issue. I'm sorry. It's so frustrating. You sit down and you spend hours on a video, and because of a few clips, it says blocked worldwide. I just won't do it anymore. So I researched it. Of course, this is what comes up. It's just unbelievable. Let me just show you this very quickly to keep your interest. I'm going to complain about copyright for about a minute and a half more. Does this building from Godzilla King of Monsters, does it remind you of anything? Wait till you see the clip and what it does. Yeah, it reminds me of something.
9/11 out of nowhere on the bingo card. 9/11 out of nowhere on the bingo card.
Just a few minutes into watching Svengoolie, and then all this stuff started happening. I'll give you 2 guesses, but you're only going to need one. One more minute before getting to the heart of the matter. I go to research. Is Godzilla King of Monsters, the old black and white, in the public domain? Can I use a...
There were black and white movies through the 60s. B movies through the 60s were still black and white. The idea that a black and white movie automatically means it's public domain drives me fucking crazy.
5-second clip.
There's 30 more years at minimum of black and white movies not in the public domain.
This pops up. First and foremost, Godzilla is not public domain, and it's in big and bold. And who writes like that? First and foremost, big and bold. Godzilla is not public domain, you poor devil that's trying to use it. Godzilla is owned by Toyo Studios. Oh, the largest and most
Toei.
powerful
Toho, actually. Sorry. Toei is I think the toy company.
Studio in Japan. Oh, so I can't even use a 5-second clip of that piece of black and white piece of shit.
Don't call Godzilla a piece of shit. You can. It's called fair use. You just got to keep it limited and make sure you're being transformative with the content. Isn't new.
That last screenshot was from Reddit, and I thought the person that responded to that may be on crack. What do they know? So I went to the very reliable and trustworthy Google Gemini AI overview, hoping it would and it did pop up. And I said, "Thanks, AI overview," and it said, "No, Godzilla King of Monsters is not in the public domain." The U.S. Copyright Restoration
Don't read. I fucking hate AI shit.
Act, the URAA, restored the copyright for the film. Explanation, copyright law. In the United States, copyright protection lasts for 70 years after the author's death. See, what happens is every 20-some years, the movie studios went back to Congress. They will give you a little bit more money. You give us 20, 25 more years. And they just kept extending it.
Uses AI on the bingo? Yeah, that counts.
And extending it. And then finally, they won't extend some ridiculous clips from like the 1800s anymore. The Mickey Mouse Steamboat clip we've heard, oh, finally in the public domain, because I guess they said, look, we can't give you another 20 years. They just kept extending it and extending it. I'll be 50 years dead and gone by the time they allow Godzilla, King of Monsters, to go into the public domain. You know what copyright is? You guys know this, but there could be some people that just turned in from Dubuque. It's simply a control mechanism. It's simply another control over those poor devils, the proletariat. So sorry.
Holy shit! Okay, maybe he does know his problem is capitalism. Accidentally based on the bingo card? Yeah, accidentally based on the bingo card. Holy shit, that's hilarious.
Guys, I have to show what I want to show you like this, and it's still a recording from my TV. Imagine if they gave me crap about this. It's like a hybrid Japanese-American version where there seems to be dub-over of the original Japanese.
Yeah.
Japan made the first movie about Godzilla, but I think this is a reporter here. He's reporting from Japan. I believe he speaks in English. It's not dubbed over. I think his name's Steve Martin.
Yep.
It's like Tokyo's being destroyed. This is Steve Martin reporting from Tokyo. I didn't watch that much of it, but again, it only took a few minutes before you know what sort of stuff.
What? You only watched a few minutes of this and you made a 40-minute video about it? You didn't even watch the movie? I was hoping he at least enjoyed the movie. Yeah, Americans added footage to make it more American.
Started to come. So, okay, the reporters just kind of stand there as Godzilla gets closer and closer, and then he doesn't leave the building, and of course, there's a collapse on top of his head. Oh, no! You know, okay, a collapse. And I'm just...
If you're ever curious to watch Godzilla and you haven't, by the way, the original Japanese Gojira is the better film, like, by far. But I do find the Godzilla King of the Monsters to be interesting as, I don't know, see what America did to it. And I do like the character of Steve Martin. It's a little jarring, the cutting back and forth, but it's interesting, at least from a historical point of view, to see the different versions. But I would recommend, if you're only going to watch one, watch the original Japanese version.
I'm starting to drink my IPA, you know, I'm just okay, whatever. I'm going to watch some of this. And then right away, there's a building implosion. I went, what is this? Oh, no. I went, look at this. Guys, I watched a lot of how Godzilla takes down buildings. First off, does that look familiar to you? I'm not going to say much more. I'll give you two.
This is obvious, and I think most people know this. If you know anything about Godzilla, you know this. Godzilla was an allegory for the destruction of atomic bombs in Hiroshima and Nagasaki at the end of World War II. It's a story about the trauma, about the collective cultural trauma that those events caused, the destruction, the horror, the everything that happened in the wake of those. So no, this is not a reference to 9/11, which wouldn't happen until like 50 years later. This is a reference to atomic bombing and the destruction in general that happened in World War II, but primarily atomic bombs.
Two guesses, but you're only going to need one. This is just a few minutes into me watching Godzilla. I'll show you some clips of Godzilla, how it takes out buildings. This is the only one where the movie spent incredible time and resources with an implosion, an inward. And I went, really, really, reality? You have derailed my. It's an inward. Look at the left. Look at the beams and look at it. It's an inward.
Do you expect it to explode? Like I don't understand what he's like. Like there's not a bomb in the building. It's getting knocked over. Like why would it, I don't understand. Max Power, thank you so much for gifting 2 tier 1 subs to the community. 15 subs away from our monthly goal. It is the last of the month, so if you want to get towards the goal, last day to do it.
Explosion. Really?
Yeah, it's a building collapse.
Oh boy. And I said, higher self, get me the heck out of here. Now, I don't want to just strike me down on the spot. I've got things I got to do. I've got to worry about your self activities. But when we're done, man, we're done with this ridiculous. Oh, there's more. That's all you got, old man. But that's enough. A building that looks just like it implode. That's enough. But no, of course there's more. So just let's just see where it is. Just I don't know. A minute later. Well, there's a few more things actually. I don't know if I'll be able to find it because I'm jumping all over the place. Let's see. Okay, well, there's the implosion of a building that looks somewhat familiar. I guess it's just a stretch. And
yeah,
then,
it's a stretch. Conspiracy theorist thinks evidence is self-evident on the bingo card. Like he seems to really think like there's nothing this could be but a depiction of the Twin Towers. Like no, it's a building getting knocked over.
See what happens here. Oh, yeah, just a few seconds later. Let's go to the evil scientist or what? I don't know. He's not.
What do you? You didn't even watch the movie. He's not the evil scientist. He creates the oxygen destroyer, which is used to stop Godzilla, and he sacrifices his own life to do so. He's not, he thinks he's evil because he has an eye patch, and media teaches you eye patch equals evil, so he assumes he's evil. For those who haven't seen Godzilla, them calling him an evil scientist, he didn't see even 5 minutes of the movie. He didn't see even 5 minutes of the movie that he said that.
This guy's got a solution on how to take down Godzilla.
Yeah, Serizawa isn't evil. He's conflicted and reluctant to show off his invention. Yeah, for those that don't know the plot of Godzilla, Godzilla shows up, starts stomping around Tokyo City like a big playground. No, so he starts doing his Godzilla thing, and then, you know, there's a lot of the movies about the effect it has on the populace, you know? It shows the destruction and everything. Meanwhile, there's this Dr. Serizawa, who has invented a weapon called the Oxygen Destroyer. It's a weapon that could rival, they say, nuclear weapons in terms of being such a game changer for war. It's so destructive. He has hidden this, though, because he knows firsthand the destruction of atomic warfare from the end of World War II, and he doesn't want to be responsible for unleashing yet another weapon of mass destruction into the world. Godzilla shows up, though, and he uses this weapon and dies with the weapon to kill Godzilla, ostensibly. Of course, he comes back. But in this one movie, he sacrifices his life, stopping Godzilla, and taking the knowledge of the Oxygen Destroyer with him so no one can use it for evil, basically. He's not an evil scientist. He's the guy that saves the day and makes the moral choice. He's the opposite of the bad guy.
I guess they stole.
And the Oxygen Destroyer comes back too. Yeah, well, okay. Like 20 or 30 years later, it turns out the Oxygen Destroyer accidentally made a giant monster called Desostroya! And then Godzilla has to fight Desostroya! But, you know, in that first movie, it's a nice, solid beginning and end. Fine, it's a single movie, and then they made a franchise, but it stands as its own as one movie.
A lot of it, like Godzilla -1 or that new Godzilla, they stole.
By the way, I'm not saying that arbitrarily. His name is not Desostroya. It's Desostroya! You have to say it like that. It's the law.
A lot of the ideas, and he's got the right eye patch. Really? Just a minute or two after what I just saw. And then right after that... Oh.
I guess I always assumed that the implication with the eye patch was that he had a war injury or something, or that he had been damaged in some way during World War II.
Boy, goes to this. It's just, Matt, you don't think the old guard's like, you think this movie's tying together the major events, the renting of the Action Jacksonation and those needles with the main event in 2000? Yeah, that's what reality does. It always tries the major events, it ties them together. It links.
It doesn't. This idea of synchronicity is something really common in conspiracy communities, and that's because synchronicity is a symptom of paranoia. When you're paranoid, you start seeing things and connecting them where there are no actual connections to be had. It's a sort of false pattern recognition. It's not good. Not great.
Them. It's always trying to backlink them. It's not just this. I know if anybody stumbled upon this, they would think I'm crazy. For those that have seen this hundreds and hundreds of times.
You haven't seen it one time. You haven't seen it a single time.
Just one more bit of evidence. But there's this. I mean, right when I tune in, really, that looks more like it. Look, Godzilla's gonna rent the Action Jackson. There you go, Godzilla. You got your booster. He's gonna lean in and get your boost. Look at this. Lean in and get. Okay, they show this.
Oh, he thinks it's a needle. He thinks it's a needle. He thinks it's a needle, as in vaccines. He's an anti-vaxxer, and he thinks that this is a vaccine. This is a lightning rod on top of a tower. But he's so paranoid and looking for things that he looks at this and goes, "Ah, a needle." Green guy with a $3 tip says, "Hannah, me and the wife are happy you started so early because we're going to Imbolc ritual tonight, and the wife was sad we would miss out." What is that? Imbolc. Sorry if I mispronounced that, by the way.
Okay, they show this. Anybody saying, "I'd love to see what the hands are on that clock." It's all lit up like one if by land, two if by sea. It's
Okay, so he's talking about the event during the Revolutionary War at the Old North Church, where the revolutionaries, in order to communicate to the others in the revolution whether the British were coming by land or sea, would keep either one or two lanterns in the steeple of Old North Church. I don't know where he's connecting that here. I don't know why he's connecting that historical event to this. I guess he's just thinking there's two lights here, therefore two lanterns. This is a stretch even by conspiracy standards.
So, and then it says, you lean in and get your booster. Free booster, you get a free turkey. You get your boosters at CVS. He leans right into it. He gets his boosters. Free turkey to you, Godzilla. Okay, let's go over here, take a total break, clear your mind. Let's have a few laughs here. Bill put this together. Bill caught this. I never put two and two together here. And we'll come back and have our hardcore retro causality.
Why are we showing the legend of Bagger Van? What? Fucking what?
Discussion and reality discussion, and we'll address the first grade truthers. Matt, don't you know it's CIA predictive programming? No, it's not predictive programming. They didn't make no phone calls and say, "Get us in your Godzilla movie." The predictive programming, that's we all went through first grade truth. It's not that. We'll come back and address it. Bill,
interesting. He doesn't think it's predictive programming. I know he mentioned retro causality earlier, which is causality in reverse. Think the Christopher Nolan movie Tenet. So, like, does he think that events reverberate backward in time and create what he considers synchronicities? We call them coincidences, if that. It's not even really a coincidence, but you know.
Bill caught this. In Bagger Vance,
The Legend of Bagger Vance.
His name is Randolph Juna, played by Matt Damon. Matt Damon playing himself with Bobby.
Isn't that Leonardo DiCaprio? Sorry, reference from last Tinfoil Day.
Jones, they're supposed to be a real famous golfer, and Walter Hagen. And the Crew Island Prize, of course, she has a really bad fake accent. Who is it? Is it Charlize Theron? $10,000. Now they tied.
No, he's doing like a folksy. He's doing an accent like about the Legend of Bagger Vance. He's doing he's trying to do like a kind of a southern drawl, I think, and he's real bad at it.
So what they each took away, Bill put this together, they each would get 3-3, 3-3.
It's Matt Damon. No, Matt Damon sounds like Matt Damon.
3-3 is a three-way.
Oh, fuck. I hate Trey and Matt, but I'm sorry. I liked Team America as a kid. Ugh.
Tie on
Everyone has AIDS. AIDS, AIDS, AIDS. Everyone has AIDS.
$10,000 at the Crew Island tournament. She I guess that Charlize Theron, that's all she got is one accent, and it's as bad as mine. And why this is appropriate, guys, is Bagger Vance is about life. You just
What did Trey and Matt do? They write South Park, and South Park is like libertarian dude bro propaganda about not wanting to care about anything and that apathy is based. Like, what?
Do every bit about golf in the movie and apply it to life. It is a lesson in life. Just take out golf, insert life. And I've talked about this movie being about life for years, but it was Howdy McCoskey that came out a few years ago and said, I never read no Bhagavad Gita. That is not on my reading list. He says, Randolph Juna, that's Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita, who engages with the vicious.
Skip in when he gets back to Godzilla, because I don't know what the fuck he's talking about.
Rudimentary the special effects are. All right, guys, back to Godzilla.
Thank you.
How rudimentary the special effects are, and how amazing it was the way the building that we quote
Why do I hate Trey? Trey Parker, not this Trey.
recognized how it came down. Like, look how this building just pushes it over. It just looks like Ultraman. It looks like
I'm borderline offended that you're negatively calling. Oh my fucking god! I'm gonna. Oh, I'm mad. I'm mad. I'm mad. I'm mad. I'm mad. I'm mad. First of all, Ultraman wishes he could be Godzilla. Second of all, Ultraman fucking rules. You're gonna come into this fucking stream and badmouth Ultraman? Ultraman died for your sins. He died on the cross for your sins, you fucking heathen. How dare you? No, seriously though, bringing back the comedy a little bit. I have a great affinity for kaiju suit work, the suitmation stuff, the intricacy of the model work. It doesn't always necessarily look like it's real, but it does look like there's an incredible amount of detail and work put into it, and it's cool to watch. Fuck you. Fuck you, you lazy asshole. Do you know how much work went into this? This is one of the greatest films of all time. And you, on your fucking ass, are sitting at home and critiquing these people who created an entire genre of film? Eat ass, you fucking loser. Okay, I feel better now.
Johnny Sacco and the flying robe. I mean, there's no great special effect like we saw with that.
Can we badmouth Jet Jaguar? I like Jet Jaguar. Jet Jaguar. Jet Jaguar. I don't speak Japanese. I don't know the lyrics.
Building we recognize. This looks plastic, like your Kid Brothers train set or something. It's not, I mean, for what it is, but look, I mean, the tail hits into this building.
Oh, is that what it is? He decided Bagger Vance and the oh god, I never know how to pronounce this. I'm so sorry. Bhagavad Gita. Thank you. Sounds alike enough that they must be connected, so he limbered up and started stretching for all he's worth. Wow, that's a lot.
That's actually looks a little bit better than what they tried to pass off as the atomic tests. That's a little bit better. What they tried to pass off. Those atomic test pictures are ridiculous, not Milk if you're listening.
That's how y'all feel when we cover alt history? Oh yeah, that must suck. This sucks. No, I'm having fun.
Listening. The tail just slams into the building. That's what we're dealing with. But when it's back to this, of course, with the implosion, look at the left side, guys. Look at the very left.
It's knocking over a building. He's Godzilla,
inward. Man. Look at this. Look how it collapsed. How do they even do that? Now, these special effects just for this building are superior Matt, well, that proves it was planned in advance, Matt. We'll get to that. First grade truth or quiet for now. We'll get to that. All right, we will get. And what does it leave at the end? It leaves 2 towers. Even once everything collapses, it leaves. Look at the. Forget the building itself. Look at those 2 pillars. Or Matt, that proves it's a secret society. We'll get to you, first grade truthers. Be quiet. It leaves 2 pillars, 2 towers that look just like north and south. Everything
They really don't. They're just 2 pieces of this particular tower that you've decided are that.
Loads around it. Matt, did they have elevator shafts back then? Okay, so what are here's again.
In the 1950s, yes, they did.
Again, he just collapses this building. It just looks like plastic, except
Just a Peach with a $1 tip says, sorry, we're a little behind. It's a ritual to mark the start of the spring and welcome the light. Oh, cool. Well, I hope you have a lot of fun, and I hope it's a good time.
except this one. This one looks different. And, of course, could you imagine if one of my family members was listening to this? Matt, they would say, I see there's a resemblance, but what are you guys saying here? You people are crazy. Yeah, look, it leaves the 2 pillars. They're the only thing left standing. But where's your 2-into-1 religion in this then, Godzilla? Don't you know about the 2-into-1? Then again, just about a
Jesus Christ, Baba Booey, I'm glad to see you.
minute later, it bounces over to the scientist with the right eye covered. Come on, normally I'd say, make it stop. But no, let's do the opposite. No, reality, don't make it stop. In fact, I want reality breakdowns to come thousands of % more than they are. I want reality breakdowns every time I turn around the corner. I want 1,000 more Mandela effects. Make it stop. Whenever I've said make it stop in the past, I withdraw that. I want the opposite. People said, Matt, we should all work together on a manifestation. You know, the specific manifestation, that wouldn't work. It wouldn't work because...
Oh boy, he thinks you can get together and manifest reality by intent. Like the secret stuff. Yikes. Trey says, I'm giving in to the demand of more D&D stuff on Hannah's stream last night. The necromancer that the party has been dealing with turned into an aborted god fetus. Basically, he was trying to harness the endless power of death to become a pseudo-god, and the party broke the artifact that allowed him to be stable. His vibe was based on the hospital that the 10th Doctor dealt with him trying to cure death. Also, because his immortality was broken, he was vomiting extra limbs and parts. Eventually, he started vomiting fully formed undead. I know you sent me a picture of it. I really like body horror villains. Body horror in general.
Most people deep down would say, I don't believe we can turn the sky red. They wouldn't believe it. But in general, if we keep putting forth in general, and we've seen so many crazy and weird things, deep down we do believe this. In general, say what I'm going to say. I
must love the substance then. I do! And someone sent me it before I took down my wish list. Hold on, it's around here somewhere. Speaking of which, I did get a last couple Blu-rays before I took down my wish list. So thank you, Michelle, for Monsters from Green Hell, Robin Hood Men in Tights, and Grindhouse. So thank you very much. Yeah, I took down the list for now because I don't really have more room. I need to get more shelving and a bigger house. But seriously, it's just been a lot. It's been a lot, so pausing it for now. But I really appreciate it. I love the stuff you guys send me. It's so generous. But you've been so generous. I'm out of room, and I'm starting to look like a hoarder. I didn't have Men in Tights. No, I still don't think I have Spaceballs either. Let me check. Yeah, I don't have Spaceballs. Or the producers. Amber says, hey, I killed that villain with 160 points of radiant damage in a single attack. Crit plus vulnerability plus number go up. That's awesome. I've done that before. Fighting like a mummy. I did like a fireball on a crit. And it was great.
Reality break.
How do I not have Spaceballs? I have over 3,000 movies. I'm gonna miss some. I'll get it eventually. How am I doing on my Toku collection? People have sent me an assload of stuff, so I have, I believe, every Super Sentai series that they've released in America on DVD. I own every Ultraman Blu-ray they've released, and Toku Time, which is a label from Discotech Media, has put out a lot of the Metal Hero franchise, and I have those. So thank you, everyone, again, who's been so generous, but, like, I have so much shit, and I have to go through so much of it. It's exciting, but it's, like, overwhelming. Illuminati on the bingo card for one-eye symbolism. I would say spurious symbology is evidence on the bingo card, and if he specifically mentions the Illuminati, yes. I at least have Young Frankenstein. Yes, I have Young Frankenstein, I have Blazing Saddles, I have History of the World Part 1, which is my favorite Mel Brooks movie. Yeah, it'll be fun, Amber. I'm excited too.
Downs. I want reality to basically become 100 times more of a clown show than it already is. Let it break down across the board. That's what I'm going to manifest in general.
Oh, he's doing conspiracy accelerationism. That's not healthy.
We do a specific manifestation. People have said, let's do a specific. It's not going to work. Deep down, most of us would believe we're not going to really be able to make an apple appear on the top of the Statue of Liberty or whatever we want to do. You have to, if we fully believed in it, I believe we could do it. Most of us, if in a collective, like a seance type thing, we wouldn't truly believe it. It wouldn't happen. Maybe it only takes 5% not truly believing in the collective manifestation for it to not work. I don't know. But in general, you and I have gone through so much reality crap, weird stuff, strange things like this happening. We've seen so much of it. We do expect...
He's depressed. Almost certainly. Anxiety and depression are like huge comorbidities to chronic conspiratorial thinking. Because if you think everyone's out to get you, if you think the world is a big psy-op and everyone's lying to you, you're going to get depressed and be full of anxiety about it, obviously. It's not a fun time. It's kind of paradoxical because a lot of people get into conspiracies in some part because it gives them comfort, right? A lot of people see the chaos of the world, and on some level to them, it's more comforting to believe there's someone in control, even if that person is evil. At least it's not random, you know? But unfortunately, these coping mechanisms often tend to, in the long run, lead to worse outcomes. And when you're in denial of reality, you can't really function well within it, which creates other problems.
More of it. Let's put the catalyst on this. I want to see reality breakdown across the board. So much so, even the dumbest of the dumb people actually start to wake up and say, you conspiracy jerks may have been right. That's what we can manifest. And let's start with this nonsense. Godzilla manifesting both the renting of the Carl Weathers movie, Action Jacksonation, and combining the 2001 event in one. And no, it wasn't planned out by the secret societies. First grade truth is, we'll get to that. All right, what the heck is going on? Let's start at the absolute basic and lowest level. I'm going to assume that most of you see it the way I see it, that building. And most of you are not saying, well, Matt, I kind of see a resemblance to the famous...
I like that he's left no room for someone just saying you're just wrong. I don't even see it a little bit. Like, this is crazy.
Scene that took place in 2001. But what you're doing here, Matt, is kind of a stretch. And I don't think you guys see it that way. I think you see it the way I see it. That it is uncanny how closely constructed that set or that Godzilla set was to the building, and then the way it implodes. It's okay. I have to start with the absolute basics. I think if normal people came by this video, or some of my family, they'd say, "No, you guys are doing it again." It's just, I see what you see, but come on, it's a coincidence. There's nothing there, Matt. I don't think you guys see it that way. I think you see it. I was amazed when I saw it. And I think you know, so I hear you. Let's just move on. Then, as I said, you have the one eye covered. At the top of building, the spires are like a needle. We've looked at this 100 times over the years, where reality desperately tries to link the events, the major events, tie them together somehow through media or through movies like this. So we'll start again at the absolute basic level.
This guy needs help. He does. A lot of the people we cover do, unfortunately.
Razor is a fraud of this reality.
Presuppositional pareidolia. That's a good way to put it.
Occam's razor is a ruse. The simplest explanation is...
You can't trick me, heuristics, you fucks.
especially if it comes from a truth research community, is always wrong. So what is the simplest explanation?
Wow, he's using the opposite. He's literally inverting Occam's razor. Huh. He's literally saying the most complicated answer is more likely. That's something. Amber says, oh, and then we used the blood of a prophet to have the god of the sun destroy the hospital, at which point we were teleported to a palace the goddess of death constructed out of all the diamonds used to resurrect people, so she could reward us for punishing this interloper upon her divine domain. Ooh, very nice.
Simplest, most basic thing that the first grade truther can come up with is a trap we fell into for many years, that it's and where did the term predictive programming even come from? Some truther just made it up and then it spread. No, it came from Not Milk, or it came from its minions, predictive programming. They want a truth research.
It's always interesting when the conspiracy Ouroboros starts to eat its own tail and they start thinking conspiracy theories are other conspiracies started by controlled opposition. Controlled opposition on the bingo card. Toreador says, Occam's hammer, that's because you use a hammer to make the most unreasonably weirdly shaped object explanation fit by smashing it into the right hole. Okay, that's not bad.
Research to believe it's all predictive programming, because once again, there's no supernatural element to predictive programming. It's just the men and women in smoking rooms eating their Subway sandwiches, showing each other their pins and buttons from the secret societies, all
Why Subway sandwiches?
planning it out.
Jimmy John's is the superior sub shop.
And women behind the scenes.
I imagine there's better local places too, but those are the franchise ones I'm aware of. Firehouse subs is a thing, but I've never had that.
That's what reality wants you as a truth researcher to believe. The secret societies, the Trilateral Commission. That's what it wants. It doesn't want you to see the fake world, the supernatural side, the fluid reality. It loves...
Because of Defendant Fogel. Did you guys know Jared Fogel turned into a sovereign citizen in prison and started trying to get released using sovereign citizen tactics? I think I covered that on stream once.
The truth researchers that say predictive programming. So Occam's razor is always wrong from a truther perspective. The simplest explanation is, and this is as weird as this is, it's still the simplest explanation, that Matt... You think whatever happened in 2001, you think they just planned that out a few weeks before 1968 when the building started being constructed, and your little Bill's poster there where they're all meeting in the form of a monkey, somebody raised their hand and said, in a couple weeks from now in 1968, let's build these 2 towers and then we'll do this in 2001 when the millennium changes on the calendar. The new millennium on the calendar is September to them, probably not January. Matt, it was planned out, as you say many times, back before Albert Pike. So why is it so inconceivable that it was put into a Godzilla movie?
Did what work, Felicity? Max Power, the $5 tip, says, thank you, Hannah, for your streams. I joined your Patreon and I enjoy the extra content while painting miniatures. Looking forward to your anime stream someday. Stay strong, everyone. You too. Thanks for the tip. Yeah, we're going to be doing the anime stream next week. I haven't picked a day yet. I'll let you know as soon as I do.
No, okay, no, because we've seen this hundreds and hundreds of times where somebody, I mean, let's just play this out one more time. Matt, you'll do it again, probably. So some dark figures came into the set of the Godzilla movie and said, we're going to help you design some buildings. Would you like that help? Well, what do we have to pay? It's free. Who are you people with? Don't ask. Here's my card. That's the Pentagon. Don't ask where we're from. We're going to help you. And we're just interested in making this building here. And don't ask why we're putting so much effort into how we're going to make it implode. And do you want our help or not? And the secret societies came in and took over the set of Godzilla in 1956. And they wanted to, because they knew the future, they're becoming 60 years.
He's saying this isn't true, by the way. He's not supporting this. He's saying conspiracy theorists that believe this are wrong, to be clear.
Really? No, that's not how it works.
Did Jared get out? Did the sovereign citizen stuff work this time? Oh, no, it didn't.
Razor's a fraud. It's first grade truth. So
the anime Dan Da Dan has a ton of conspiracy encrypted references. Okay, I'll check it out.
Beyond to the next level up and beyond the arena where the dark vans and the limos and the men in black came onto the set of Godzilla with sunglasses and Tommy Lee Jones and Will Smith mind eraser pens. Going
Called a neuralizer.
beyond that, we get to the next level up, which still probably isn't the answer. Your perception and my perception isn't that great. We are in the avatar. We are Tommy and very dumbed down in this body. We are very governed down in this body. So at least I'll try to think big and say things like retrocausality. And we'll talk about that. Or the fact that time doesn't exist and people basically channel events through. There is, from a perspective of, say, a being that's outside of here, there is no time. So there's no different than the actual event in 2001 taking place right now where you are in 2025 and the set of Godzilla in 1956. From the perspective of a certain being in a certain dimension, there's no difference at all.
So is he saying God did it?
It's all taking place, say, at the same time. So does the creator of the movie, imagination taps into a certain level of creativity that may be beyond this place or maybe beyond time. They tap in, it just channeling to a degree. So there's retrocausality, there's channeling, and there's other places we can go here. But I'm going to assume that I don't think I'm going to be able to figure it out because I'm still a dumbed down body with the governor and Tommy, the deaf, dumb, and blind kid. I've come to the conclusion that it's not ever the dumbed down.
I wondered if he was referencing the movie Tommy. I couldn't tell.
Explanation that the first grade truther says, and I don't think I'm some
Fucking pinball wizard, man.
super sleuth that's going to figure it out. All I need to do is say fake world. Sounds like here we go. Sounds like a cop-out. It's not. It's the highest level of truth. Not trying to figure it out. Just saying it's not what anybody thinks. It's not what the guy on the street would say. It's not what the first grade truther would say. It's simply a fake world we don't understand. We're here temporarily, and the faker it gets, it's the best news to us of all time. You want it to get faker and faker and faker. You want it to completely break down. Matt, why would we want to see it that way? We'll get to that. We'll get to why it's the greatest news of all time. But see, I'm at the point where I'm just looking for any explanation is falling for its trick. So what, like 6 years ago, we're all proud of ourselves having these new conversations about retrocausality. I don't regret doing it, but we shouldn't have been proud of ourselves. We're still probably 10 steps away from understanding what's really happening, and we can't understand it in this body and with this temporary level of perception. So let's stop trying to do it. 6 or 7 years ago, we're so proud of ourselves. We're having these high-level conversations about retrocausality, and see the event itself, when it's happening in 2001. The event itself is so massive. There's so much consciousness focusing on the event that it's rippling back through time and changing history. There's merit to that. The Mandela effect, if you're Mandela affected, proves that.
We have Mandela effect on the bingo card. If so, Mandela effect. Mandela effect is an annoying conspiracy to me. You just have a faulty memory. It's fine. That's being a person. It's not another dimension.
Appears to be a change. It always has been. Yeah, okay. I'm sure, but is that the final level? We just sit up and smoke a cigar, put our feet up? There's something to that. That just simply means what we already know. There's no such thing as
I think there's about 3 minutes left in him talking about Godzilla, by the way, before we'll move on to the next thing.
So if I'm going to clap my hands together, or the butterfly effect, there's going to be a storm in Asia, right? Maybe there's a tiny little retrocausality. Here, I'm going to clap my hands. I don't think that event was as big as the 7-Eleven job application. Close. I don't think it was quite as big. So whatever's rippling back through time, maybe Zara just moved a hair on her tail, moved a little bit or something.
When he says first grade, he means elementary school. He's calling other conspiracy theorists idiots, basically. He thinks he's a smart conspiracy theorist, and he thinks other conspiracy theorists are dumb for not believing what he believes. He has a very supernatural view of what are coincidences, but he would call synchronicities, whereas more conspiracy theorists believe in the, as he described it, smoky room full of, like, secret society members planning everything. He's saying it's not humans at all, it's something in another dimension, or it's God, or it's something, a demiurge, who knows what he believes.
not as big. It doesn't ripple back with as much strength as 5 billion people focusing in on one event. There's something to that, retrocausality. But we're not, when we get there, we're not done. Okay, let's put our feet up. And then you get to the point where you go, it's ridiculous to try to figure it out. Who cares?
I wonder if he just watched the movie, he would have had a better time. Because he didn't even watch the movie. And this is where we are, just ranting and raving, like, manically for 25 minutes. Could have just enjoyed the movie.
The world is not what the scientists say it is. The scientists are the most fooled in this world. Usually it's the smarter you get and you become a double PhD and you do research at Oxford and Yale and as you get into that realm and you're so
double PhD
smart.
Getting multiple PhDs is not common.
They are the most lost and fooled people that exist in this world. Homeless people in San Francisco could tell you more about the real reality than those eggheads. There's no doubt about it. As you get closer to it, whether it be the screen or science itself, you get the most fooled. So this once again brings us back to Richard Feynman, the famous physicist, and his famous saying, we'll do it again, if it disagrees with experiment, it's wrong. That was his famous, and the audience of young people went, oh, that's so profound. You know what? That could not be further from the truth. He said, if it disagrees with experiment and your scientific measurements and your dumbass devices and your telescopes, if it disagrees with experiment, it's wrong. No. If it agrees with experiment, then you're falling for the reality trick. It's that simple.
Oh, wow. He literally doesn't believe in, like, empirical, demonstrable evidence. He thinks literally demonstrable physical evidence is a psyop. Wow. Wow. I didn't even understand how to break down the metaphysics on that. Like, if reality was a psyop, what does he even think psyop means? Like, what does he... I'm trying to think about it and just keeps flipping in on itself. Like, if reality is a psyop, then there's no such thing as a psyop because it's just reality?
Since Galileo and Copernicus got their first telescopes out of the bottom of their Cracker Jack boxes, there's been tens of thousands of experiments, millions of experiments since those two idiots got their little prize or toy.
Take that, Galileo. Does he think that, like, they just found telescopes? Like, who do they think invented the, like, the refract... What the heck is it? The telescope that allowed, like, Galileo to... Was it that he stuck a mirror in it? Was that it was compound? He invented the compound telescope. That's what it was.
Out of the bottom of the Cracker
Multiple lenses that compounded the magnification.
Jack box. Millions to tell you what that is up there. What space is. And I'm watching the silo on that one guy tries
You
to...
might be right. It might be a reflector telescope. Someone tell me. I'm not big on the history of science. Either way, he seems to be acting like these early astronomers didn't, like, make their own and develop their own telescopes sometimes. Like,
map the stars in the cafeteria. The silo, just episode after episode, goes nowhere. Who recommended to me the silo? Just goes nowhere. Come on. It's the Andy Dufresne's in it. Go somewhere. I don't have 80 mil. I have a lot of time on my hands at night, and I just want to veg. But, I mean, go somewhere. Have something happen. And anyway, the guy's trying to map the stars. He has his little experiment. All the scientific experiments to say what's out there. Space. All your measurement devices, your telescopes. And it's going to tell you what a pulsar is. It's going to tell you what a quasar is. You know what all that tells you? It's simply ingraining the trick of this reality and bringing the trick into the personal...
He's saying they were toys and not scientific instruments? Okay.
The local reality bubbles of everybody that participates in it. You're letting in the trick. You're getting closer to it. You're letting in that snake, Bob Sugar. You reject it all. It's all a fake world. I'm here...
Refracting telescope? Thank you.
To do what I need to do for a very temporary period of time, to worry about yourself activities. I'm going to try to manifest a complete breakdown of it so it becomes ridiculous even to the man and woman on the street. And then when it's all done, I'm going to say, higher self, get us the heck out of here. I've done enough and I'm not doing it anymore. This reality, if you're listening, you have derailed. A few more quick things, and yes, if anybody's new, I'm going to get to...
All right, that's the end of his segment on Godzilla. I think he just should have watched the movie. I think he would have had a better time. Take a look at the bingo card. H-Bird says, Bob Sugar. Did he make a Jerry Maguire reference? I've not seen Jerry Maguire, so I'm not sure. Uses AI. Spurious symbology as evidence. Incorrectly believes evidence is self-evident. Vibes-based conspiracy. Accidentally based. Doesn't understand the problem is cat. Well, no, he did actually say that afterward, so never mind. Idiot says they're a genius for him calling out other flat earthers and calling them first graders. Psy-Op. He thinks the whole world is a Psy-Op. For understanding of Eastern philosophy and or religion for his Bhagavad Gita weird Bagger Vance diatribe. Conspiracy theory, I don't even know. Was that conspiracy theorist tells on themselves? I'm gonna say yes, because that was a lot. That was a lot. I don't, Catborg says moves goalposts. Did you have a specific thing you were thinking of? Because I didn't think there was a moves goalposts, but if there is, let me know. Controlled opposition. And is there anything else? If everything's a psyop, nothing is a psyop. Very syndrome. Oh, duh. 9/11 out of nowhere. That's the big one. Can we get a no, just no space on the bingo card? I will do that. Yeah. I still got to make the new bingo card for the year, even though it's the end of January. ADHD's fun. Okay, let's get into some other content. Try this one. This video is entitled Secret Black History, The Lie of Egypt. I don't think we've had Flat Earth yet.
Welcome. As we
Puka, thank you for 500 bits.
continue on this exploration of identity crisis. We're nearing the end of Black History Month, and I thought that this video would be fitting. One of the #1 things that we need to tackle first is Egypt and all its implications. This video is by no means an attempt to take anything away from anyone. It's simply an opportunity to present an alternative version of
Trying to hurt y'all? Not intentionally.
history that we've not been privy to. The only way to fight the separation and division that's happening right now is to come together and to discover more about ourselves.
Oh my god, he solved it, guys. Did you know that the best way to, like, deal with fascism is just to get together and learn about conspiracy bullshit? Certainly that'll help.
Let's have an open discussion. In the modern day, we have this concept of the African American.
Oh no!
This concept that blacks were taken from Africa.
Maybe don't use the word blacks. Maybe don't use that. Maybe don't say that. Maybe don't. Maybe don't. Maybe don't. Maybe don't. Maybe don't.
Brought to America, and that they were stripped from their homeland. This is believed by the majority of the modern population. If you were to suggest an alternative history from this, it would be seen as blasphemy.
Oh my fuck. This is gonna be real bad. Prepare to cut the video. Yeah, this is a 30-minute video. I will be shocked if we get through 10 minutes of this before I give up, because this is gonna hurt.
Now we're at the point that if you're an
Jinx, Orion Cooper, I just saw you said the same thing.
educator and you refuse to do the Wakanda salute, you'll be fired for being a racist.
Fucking what?
if you're an educator and you refuse to do the Wakanda salute, you'll be fired for being a racist. The only way we can
Psychotropic Thunder, thanks for 40 months with Prime!
continue forward is by
This is Cabbage Guy.
asking questions. There are many things that do not add up with our history, and we have to start with this concept of out of Africa.
Oh my god, this is gonna be so bad. This is just gonna be white supremacist shit. Oh god.
First, we must
When was this made? 3 years ago?
understand that there's only two cosmologies. The materialistic cosmology of nothing, the main cosmology of the modern day education system where they teach evolution and that man came from monkeys. Then
Oh
there's
my fuck. We're still great apes. You don't even understand evolution.
the cosmology that is of ancient ancestry, the cosmology of something, the cosmology of a hierarchy of spiritual planes. We know these concepts such as the astral, etheric, and mental planes of existence.
You know, those very real astral and etheric planes.
This idea that we came out of Africa is a concept that is connected to Darwin and evolution. It's a direct child of the cosmology of materialism. This is because they teach that all humans and races came from the missing link, or the first human.
There's no, what missing, what are you talking about? Ugh!
They're basically teaching that humans evolved from monkeys out of Africa.
No, we share a common ancestor with modern monkeys. We share a common ancestor with a lot of animals. The most recent of our ancestors that we share with are like chimps and bonobos. They're contemporary. We share an ancestor.
Okay.
We didn't come from modern monkeys. We are related to them through a common ancestor millions of years ago.
This idea is a materialistic concept as it does not explain the origins of
Homo sapiens, I think the current number is like 200,000 to 100,000 years ago. We're apes. We're not monkeys. There is a difference, I think.
consciousness or spirit. It creates an identity crisis. The first level is a cosmological propaganda. The next level is racial propaganda. They don't want us to know our true history. If we knew how powerful we were in the past, the more difficult it is for the elite to control civilization. Now, if you're new to this, you might think that this is complete BS. I'd keep an open mind as there are many clues that hint to a history that has been entirely rewritten. So one of the many things that we can do is to take a look at some older manuscripts. This here is a map from, let's see,
I think that's fair, Amber. I don't want to tackle this one alone. I'm saving this for when we do another thing together. Because A, I don't want to be alone when I cover this, and B, you know the history. That's good. I missed the anti-Semitism. Was it overt or thinly veiled? If we managed all 30 minutes, it would be overt. Almost certainly. Anyway, so I'll save that one for another time. Let's check in on Roger at Mud Fossil University. Let's play a quick video from him, maybe see how he's been, and then I have more of his... I'll be generous and say they're papers. He calls them papers. His scientific papers that he has, quote, published. We'll take a look at some of those.
Okay, we're going to be up on TikTok, or I already am, but it's at Mud Fossil University, all one word.
Pretty sure overt. Okay, overt anti-Semitism on the bingo card.
And I'm going to put up little tiny clips, just a couple few pictures, just so you can get an idea of what the deep stuff is, and then come back here for the deep stuff on YouTube. Very short things on TikTok. But we'll be up there fixing the thing up. It's just getting started. There's no details, there's no pictures or anything up there yet. But it's at Mud Fossil University, so here we go. Okay,
Do I want input from someone who has written hundreds of scientific papers? Sure.
friends.
You're gonna be disappointed. It's like one of them's half a page long.
I've been studying the
Oh, I understand, Phoenix.
fossils for many years.
I'll make sure to let everyone know when we're doing that next.
And it's been dismissed and denied. And, you know, I just want people to have the ability to think about this. So what I'm going to be showing you now is all of this stuff. And also what the impact is on academia. And it's not good for academia now. If they had embraced this when it was first brought to them and said, wow, we really never considered this, because this is something the human mind just has never considered. The human eye has never seen. You can't open your eyes big enough until you realize, and then you can't close your eyes. But some can. And unfortunately, they're the ones that are telling us what we have to say to be considered intelligent. So it's not going to go well for academia because of their intransigence. And that was the key. All I ever wanted to do was say, look at this, take a look at it. I'm glad they didn't, because it drove me to this depth of research that has led me to...
My research said by a non-researcher on the bingo card.
...understand, hopefully, eternity. There is so much to learn here, and it's all related to these ancient texts. They have to start to engage in this. If you're going to go to school, I have no issue whatsoever. If you go for a trade or learn how to program or, electronics or, physics isn't right now. It needs to be worked on.
The whole field of physics can get fucked.
Electron flood theory basically solves physics 100%. Gravity.
What do you mean it solves physics? What are you talking about?
Light.
There's no... What?
Particle physics, or the whole thing.
Does he mean like a theory of everything? Something that... I don't know what he means by solves physics. Is he saying it's going to combine quantum and like Newtonian physics?
So there's a lot of issues with mainstream...
Let X equal physics. Done. We did it! We solved physics!
Science, because they will not address anything that upsets their little apple cart. And it's the top guy syndrome. There's going to always be one guy that you have to go to. And in the case of the mud fossils, it was Derek Briggs. I contacted a bunch of people. Said, oh, no, you're right down the street from me. I'll talk to Derek Briggs. I said, okay. And that was a nightmare, absolute nightmare. And it's not just a nightmare for, to me, I'm kind of glad that he rejected it so arrogantly, because it set me off. And I said, no, that's not going to happen, my friend. And his arrogance was, you could cut it with a knife, but it would have to be a very, very, very sharp knife. Anyway. All right, my friends, I've been complaining about the disaster about Yale for years. This is what they did. They just renamed geology and geophysics, and they showed a picture.
This isn't even the first time he's talked about this. He's so salty that they've changed the name of the geology and geophysics department. I think they changed it to Earth Sciences. Earth and Planetary Sciences is what it's called, because it encapsulates more stuff.
The mud fossils, they know what they did. And they're trying to ease themselves into this. This is what I've been showing for years, 15 years. And the first 5 or so was with Yale. Please look at this, please look at this, please look. No, they refused, and then they took credit for my work by saying that these things do turn into stone, but they're just slimy little creatures. There was no big things like I show. Like there was no bones. Even at the time they say, well, let me just show you something. Okay, my friends, I got called away, but as I recall, I have already shown you these balls were everywhere, and they are called the Moki marbles and all that stuff right here. Now, these have eroded and all washed down into a little gully, and all of the flesh has, collected around it. Normally, this would have been a layer of flesh, and that's the basement layer. That's the tough stuff that's underneath. So you can move around, but you need to have floppy stuff on top, and that's what this is. Now,
does this count as rock was a human? Let me look at the bingo card real quick and see the options. I think we had a couple spaces for that would apply. This rock tree mountain was human. Yeah, I'll count it. He thinks it's some other kind of animal, but I'd say it's within the spirit of it.
Those balls are here.
DJ Shay, let me see your bingo. Oh, you knew what to do. Perfect. Let me take a look at your bingo card real quick. This tree, Rock Mountain was a human, 9/11 out of nowhere, free space, controlled opposition, Psy-Op. You win! Congrats, DJ Shay. Did we get popular media is evil? I don't know if he would have called Godzilla evil. He just thinks it has predictive programming, so I would say no. But either way, let me gift a sub real quick to DJ Shay for being the winner today. We will still continue to play bingo for fun, but that is the official winner for today. So congrats, DJ Shay.
And they're eroding. I mean, they're thawing out. These were biology. They were, and they're edible. That's why. That's why all that green stuff is growing. Now, the second thing about this is that green stuff has to be built into the balls. It absolutely must be. Every single one of them is, and I'm talking a lot of balls. We got balls coming out of the walls. We got balls everywhere on every wall. All right? And the only other colored ones in here are blood. That's like a chunk. These are chunks of really red blood. As this.
Okay, I think that's enough of Roger's video right now. Let's take a look at some of his papers. This is the shortest so-called paper I've ever seen. It's shorter than most abstracts I've seen. It's half a page. So I'll just read this. Stonehenge, a possible monument to a giant? The heel stone has been called that since antiquity. It's not merely a standing stone, it appears to be a giant's foot. Giants on the bingo card. A recently noticed fossilization process accounts for this body part being preserved. 1. Look carefully at the architecture and see the obvious look of a foot, toes, etc. His first thing is, trust me, bro, look at it. It looks like a foot, bro. Trust me. Touch your own foot and feel the contours. It is the same. Also, underground, the anatomy is exact. A heel. 2. There's a black stain where the bone and blood supply is broken. This is ferritin from bone marrow, exactly as in observed bone fractures today. The black is iron oxide. Rust! It's rust! It is rust! It's not caused by blood! He just makes these insane statements and thinks that him saying it is enough. He says as a statement this is ferritin. Oh my god. Please show the citations on screen. I don't think there's any citations in this one. I don't think the only thing cited, the closest thing to a citation is him linking his YouTube channel. I don't think he cited anything. Even though there's the little 1, 2, and 3s, like you would have a page where it's the stuff, it's not here. So he put the little things like there is references, but there's no actual citations even though there's numbers. Okay. Crazy idea. There's no way this is true, right? But did he try and read academic papers and saw those little numbers and knew they were supposed to be in there, but he doesn't know what they're for? I just don't know. I just don't know why. I just don't know why there would be numbers as if there's a citation, but no citations. I don't understand how you do that. So, did you just forget, maybe? Did you just forget to put them in? I don't know. Anyway. There's a cut running into the center area from the smaller toe. This is a tendon margin. There's very little decomposition in this foot. Only very soft fleshy areas have deteriorated, it appears. There are rust-colored spots on the bridge of the foot. There are blood gases and fluids caused by the cadaverine and the putrescine in the body fluids, also containing iron. Fe2 and Fe3 are both iron oxides. One is black, the other is reddish. 5. There are other stone circles in those lands. It is possible is it possible they're memorials to fallen heroes? 6. With this knowledge of giants, a new look is needed in all structures and symbols around the world, as well as constructions, Nazca lines, and many old stories. 7. The chemistry will prove or disprove this, and it's quite simple to do. 3 DNA tests and 7 CAT scans proved my specimens are human and as big as a Stonehenge giant. Roger, you contaminated your samples. It's your DNA. You got your DNA on it. Can I move the text so you can see it? Yeah, 1 sec. That should be a little better. 9. 8. We will be looking into chemistry soon and would like collaborators. 9. I have the physical specimens to test against. 10. I have other sites that have much larger petrified giant creature remnants. A video is in the works. These giant remnants are primarily connective tissue and it is very durable. I would like to credit the Heelstone picture but cannot find the author. And there's a link to his YouTube channel. This work was done 2012 to 2015 and what work? What work? Oh no, here it is. There are references. It says 1 through 5 and it just cites his website. His citations are his own website. Let's see. I don't know if this website is still up, but we can test. Nope. Not there anymore. Sad face. So, guess we can't look at his citations. Can't look at his citations of himself. Ash, thanks for 26 months. Thank you very much. We are 14 subs away from this month's sub goal. Roger's gonna solve violence, by the way. Roger wrote this paper in 2015, a study of superiority, responsibility, control, and violence. Wow, he's multidisciplinary. Why are people fighting? Violence in the world has a flow. Every relationship works in the same way. Nations are led by humans. Leaders are expected to have stature, gravitas. It is extraordinary to find a political leader that does not feel extremely important and therefore superior. Our system is fatally flawed. We have allowed money to control who are our leaders. When leaders lose sight of the average citizen's need and rights, they are missing their responsibilities. Some leaders feel cooperation and control can be achieved through force. They're setting the stage. Citizens see what is happening. Our citizens are becoming divided and argumentative as well. Frustration is running quite deep. The fuses have been lit. Did he submit these to journals or is he emailing them to people? Both? I think both. He's really mad that no one takes him seriously. How does the USA's leaders handle citizens? I would like to start by defining leaders. We have elected officials that we call our leaders. They are in fact our employees that are charged with handling affairs in our society. We gave them the keys and they locked us out. Now our leaders have become our masters. We've given them the store, lock, stock, and barrel and cash register. This has not worked well in business and is yet to show success in our affairs. Citizens in 99% status are mostly ignored as I see it. Is this another doesn't understand his problem is capitalism thing? Jesus. All right, let's move on from him. Ooh, super soldier. Wonder how the super soldiers are doing. What happened to Betty Buttcrack? I stopped covering her. It just got real depressing.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Super Soldier Talk. My name is James Rink. I am the host of this show, and I just want to thank Penny for coming on here today. Penny, how are you doing today?
I'm doing really good. Kind of nervous, James, but thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you. So I've got lots of updates to give you. So let me just ask the chat. Chat, would you like to hear about my trip to DC? And if you do, if there's anybody,
Oh my god, of course he went to the inauguration. Of course he did. James Rink is literally a Nazi apologist. Of course he went to the inauguration, or at least tried. I guess he didn't get to actually see it, because they held it inside.
in there, I'll be happy to share. It's just, I know we've got a lot of information here, but I did go to the inauguration, sort of. I'll tell
Aw, did Trump make your trip worthless? How sad.
you about in just a moment. So let me pull up Penny's profile. Okay, so today, Penny Gabardi, did I get your last name right?
That's exactly right.
Will recount her conversation with Thomas and Renee from Germany, where they explore the synthetic fourth dimension and the concept of God. The discussion then circles back to her efforts
Her
inspired by
bookshelves
Thomas'
have
encouragement
wrinkles.
to-
Yeah, it's a fake backdrop that looks like bookshelves. I know in a little bit, because I've seen part of this video, she shows an old picture of herself in front of real bookshelves. So I think it has to do with that.
restore dignity to the Lakota Indians. So Penny was born in Wyoming and proudly considers herself a country girl at heart. She currently
Country girls make do.
resides on her sister and brother's-in-law 300-acre farm in Nebraska, where she lends a helping hand whenever it's needed. Penny's life has been defined by her adventurous spirit and diverse career path. She began working as a business office manager at a medical missionary hospital, at 19 years old, just before transitioning into a career as a paralegal. Later, she was contacted to collaborate White Hat private banking trustee information, focusing on the security aspects of on-the-ground programs. Her investigative and legal work led to significant challenges, including a life-altering incident, but she persevered. So in her late 50s, Penny returned to college, earning both a bachelor's and master's degree in health informatics. She also is a devoted single mother to an incredible 27-year-old autistic son who has been her greatest focus and inspiration.
Oh god, I don't even want to know the weird, like, medical stuff she's probably tried to do to her son to quote-unquote cure him.
Now retired, Penny is embracing this new chapter of her life with enthusiasm, ready for new adventures and opportunities to share her remarkable journey. How was that?
Thank you. That was good. Thank you, James.
Did I make it sound amazing? I hope so. Okay. All right. So let's see here. Okay. So we got one person wants to hear the update. So great. So now that you want to hear the update, I'll tell you. So I started off my journey to Baltimore, and I managed to get out there alive. I'm like, so everybody said it was pretty sketchy, and I think Donald Trump needs to go in there. We can maybe take some money that was going to Ukraine and level that city, and let's rebuild it. In my opinion.
What the fuck is this idiot talking?
But thankfully,
hey dipshit, the money going to Ukraine is already allocated from the military budget. It was already budgeted as part of the military budget that was already allocated. It's not extra money, you fucking idiot.
I didn't have to I got to meet Lucas Crichton, if anybody remembers Lucas. So thank you, Lucas.
Also, Baltimore is John Waters' hometown. It's a holy site. Don't touch it.
For hosting me and
downtown Baltimore.
My friend.
Downtown Baltimore.
So I got to do an interview. When the next day, I got to go to the Aeronauticals and Space Museum next to Dulles Airport. So they have a space shuttle in there, and remember the what was it? Was it the Concorde jet? Penny, they actually have a Concorde jet in there, and that thing was absolutely massive. So I highly recommend that visit. So, and then the next day was the inauguration. So there were 600,000 people that went to DC to see the inauguration. However, only 25,000 people could fit into the Capital One Center. So what I decided to do instead was go to a local bar in DC, and I hung out with some of my friends. Dave, hello. And I met some wonderful ladies. We have Sherry and Autumn. So they both are targeted individuals, and they were in DC as well, working on a lawsuit against certain large corporations who have been targeting them with implants. And so then I went over to the Washington Monument to deliver a message from Donald Trump that was channeled information, like a telepathic message, right? So we don't like to say channeled in here. And
We don't like to say channeled. That's silly. It's telepathic communication, obviously, you goddamn weirdos. Channeling.
it was so cold, and my hands were freezing as soon as we took off my gloves, because I had to, pull out this piece of paper, right? And everybody was freezing, and then somebody comes over, stands like 2 feet away from me, and starts yapping really loud. And then my friend asked him to move, and then he says, "Oh, this is a free country. I can do whatever I want," right? So then they go back 3 different times, and eventually he clocks them. So he got to go spend a day in jail. So.
Hannah puts her head in her hands. He's just telling this story like it's completely normal for your friend to, he just committed a little bit of battery while in DC. Trump supporters are something else, man. What the fuck?
But anyway, I never got to do my presentation, and I'm really grateful to the Park Service for taking care of the park there that day, even though it was so cold. So, all right. So after that, I got to go the next day. I got to see Mount Vernon, George Washington's house, and
I've been there. It's interesting.
I was going to do a video, but it was way too cold, so I was happy to eventually got to the next day. I got down to Richmond, and I got to meet Sean Callahan with USA MedBed. So I've got some interviews.
That's the guy that's the scammer that sells the MedBed stuff. We've covered him before.
Just about some new technology that's coming out, and provided how motivated I can be to sit behind my computer and start editing these videos will be dependent on how I get that information out to you. So anyway, I'm back home now, and here we are with Penny again. So Penny, thank you again for coming on here. So where should we begin this story?
Well, I am one that gets nervous, so I have a little script that I wrote, and then I also have PowerPoint slides to go along with it. So whenever you're ready for me to get started with that, I will just start with page 1 and get going.
All right. So again, this message is not SSP related. So this is related. Could you give us a summary of what we're going to be hearing today?
Sure. You actually did a good job with the summary. This is, it turned into a story. I'm more of a storyteller. And what happened was we got into a conversation on your Telegram channel with one Major Thomas and a gal named Renee, and they both spoke German, and I didn't. But as it went on, there was it was just an interesting influx of how their conversations turned out, and that really then started me to thinking about the differences of what they were presenting. And they were, I know that Major Thomas was SSP, and I'll go into a little bit more of that with my story. And then it turned into what I felt like Renee was teaching, and then I showed more about her side at the beginning, and then I come back to Thomas, and you'll see how it splits. But that's why I call myself a story weaver. That's the meaning of my name. Penny is a weaver, and so I call it the observing story weaver of this segment.
All right. So who is the observing story weaver? Is that you?
That would be me, yeah.
Okay.
Because I'm weaving quite a lot of information into just this one story. And I think you'll be surprised, even yourself, James, on what I'm going to be talking about. So you're going to have to. I told you it'd be a little different today, but
Right. Ground control to Major Tom. Thank you.
yeah.
Let's hit it.
I'm gonna
Next
skip
one.
ahead a little bit.
They just had a few cars around it, and I just knew, it was a secret underground military base,
Oh no.
and I just knew I wasn't supposed to talk about it for some reason. That was my memory there, and that was located in Boulder, Wyoming, and I think that was an underground tunnel base there, out in the middle of nowhere. And I was supposed to keep it a secret.
Just a Peach with a dollar tip says he is very tuned out. Yeah, James doesn't seem very interested in his guests half the time. I don't get it.
As I mentioned, not talk about it. Later in my little school, they would pull a few of us kids out of class and they'd go in. We would have to go into a white van and we would do a lot of testing, like ear testing, throat cultures, and other testing like that. So, and then lastly, I could just remember as a kid, I'd frequently hear steps going up and down the hall outside my bedroom, and it was just a completely invisible out there. So those are just some of the memories that make me wonder about things. But um, when that happened, I do remember the panicking fear, and I would just quit breathing, things like that. And I'd tell my parents what was happening, and they just told me to put covers over my head, and I'd be fine. So that's about as close as I can remember to SSP or anything that might be any memories. But I did find it
Do I
interesting.
think James is a grifter? Huh. I don't know. Some people I have strong feelings on. I'm iffy on him. I don't know if he... this is gonna sound mean. I don't know if he's smart enough for this to be a grift. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know, though.
However, that soon after this, I started dressing up and playing a role of being a warrior. And I was a very good Cherokee Indian warrior. And I made all my own bows and arrows and shield and headdress and
Oh, shit, man.
leggings. And that was probably around the age 8 or 9. And then when I was in grade school, I took it upon myself to be the leader of a pack of girls, and I would fight off the boys who would try to come around us. And as time went on, I just I started to have this ferocious need to read, and I read almost everything in the library at probably age 9 in that area, and I just couldn't get enough of science books. I really loved the science. And
Benigami says, is James sad he missed the alleged Sig Heil? Wouldn't surprise me.
there was another kid that would be in a white
Also, you can just call it a Sig Heil. That's what it was. That's fine.
that was in the white van that I remembered back then, and we would get school assignments, and then he and I would just race to see who could get those assignments turned in faster.
Okay, Nana. Can we get to the conspiracy, please? I know you'd want to talk about your childhood.
Renee was actually channeling a male Palladian. So Thomas told Renee,
Believes they speak to aliens regularly on the bingo card?
Ceres greets the Pleiades. And it was then that
This isn't blood quantum, this is blood quantum leap.
all of a sudden it dawned on me that I had an aspect of myself from Ceres. It made sense, and I could remember it right then. And then Thomas mentioned that I'd be remembering this in my soul and not to remember that in my mind. And I said, well, absolutely. I understand that. So I had learned that the best place to be
Wait,
is
hold
in.
on. Hey, Penny,
Oh, go ahead.
question. So we have guests on here like Jimmy Payne who say that they traveled in the future, and every time through these time travel projects, they said there was nuclear war and then eventually a pole shift. So
Okay, I could only do so much of that word salad. Let's move on.
We are going to be looking at some disturbing videos, strange and odd news stories, and as always, let's go ahead and get right into today's video. So, as most of us already know, there was a major airline crash in Washington, D.C. involving a Black Hawk helicopter and a
kind of and to be clear, my heart goes out to all of the families and the victims here. I am not like making fun of this event. It is fucked up. It was preventable. But I do find it somewhat appropriate that an accident caused by an idiotic Republican president trying to hurt the public sector and trying to strip public services caused an accident at the Ronald Reagan International Airport.
American Airlines flight. At the time of this recording, and I am recording this video at 7 a.m.
Ronald Reagan. Did I say Robert Reagan? Ronald Reagan.
So anything is scheduled to change. There can be new updates. But at the time of this recording, it is said that about 67 people did lose their lives. So I do want to take the time out to say I give my condolences, and my heart does go out to the...
At least he doesn't think it's not real. Kind of thought that's where this was going to go. I did say Ronald. Okay, for some reason my brain told me I said Robert.
And the victims' families involved in this crash. This is actually the first major United States airline crash involving a big United States commercial airliner ever since the Colgan Air Flight 3407 crashed in Buffalo, New York back in 2009. Something like this happening is indeed very, very rare, but I can't help but notice that we are also hearing something more and more, and that involves the military. It involves the Army. Ever since January 1st,
from what I read about this incident, what was happening was there was already a staff shortage, then there was a hiring freeze, so they were so short-staffed that there was one person doing air traffic control for helicopters and planes. Normally, apparently, these are two separate jobs. So they had someone spread too thin, with too few people working, at the behest of the president and his administration, and it caused a catastrophic accident. Public service employees are incredibly important, especially in areas that involve safety. The fact that the current administration seems hell-bent on dismantling these safeguards, disgusting.
First, in this 1 month, we have been getting some very big and strange news stories involving just that, people in the military. Right? Like, think about it. On January 1st in New Orleans, we had this horrible incident caused by somebody who used to serve in the Army at Fort Bragg. Then we had this Tesla Cybertruck explosion caused by somebody who used to serve in the Army at Fort Bragg. Now, again, this all just happened in 1 month, and we're finishing the month with an Army Black Hawk helicopter crashing directly into a big commercial airliner, a civilian airliner. This might be just a quote-unquote coincidence, but all these stories share something in common in the fact that they just don't add up. They just don't pass the smell test.
What does that even mean in this case? You literally, I think, just mean this is uncomfortable and I don't like it, therefore I need to come up with a conspiracy. That's all I can gather from what I've heard so far, is he doesn't like that these things happened. It's scary that these kind of things can happen. So therefore it must be a conspiracy? Nonsense.
And when it comes to this Black Hawk helicopter crashing into this plane, it's doing just that. It's just not adding up. And look, I get it. We do not have all the facts. Not all the information has come out yet. This story is still brand new. But if you look at the video footage, it looks like this Black Hawk is beelining directly for this plane. It looks like it's targeting this plane. We are getting news articles coming out. For instance, this article here from Live 5 where they are saying that ATC, Air Traffic Control, did indeed warn the Black Hawk of a nearby plane. This article goes on to say that less than 30 seconds before the crash, an air traffic controller asked the Army helicopter if it could see the plane, quoted as saying, "PAT-25, do you have the CRJ in sight?" And there was no response. When the controller...
Interesting. If that's true, which I think is the same report that Overthought was talking about, I wonder what the fuck was going on.
Received no response. They made a second attempt and made another radio call to the Army helicopter by saying, "PAT-25 passed behind the CRJ." And seconds later, the helicopter and the plane collided. Now, I had to come back and re-edit this video because, like I said, there's going to be a ton of updates. And this news article also updated. Like I said previously, it said that the Black Hawk pilot did not respond. Multiple news agencies said that the Black Hawk pilot did not respond. But what has now come out is that the Black Hawk pilot did indeed respond. But we're going to go ahead and get into that later in the video. But as you can see from this link, from the Live 5 News link, It does say Army helicopter did not respond. Air traffic control warns of nearby plane. We don't know everybody who was on board that plane. Yes, they came out and said that there were Russian and United States figure skaters and their families on board that plane, but there were over 60 people on the plane, so we don't know if anybody or anybody's was a target. There are some other strange
Oh my god, he's assuming it's an intentional thing.
things coming out that people are noticing.
Why are people so allergic to just recognizing that bad things happen? The same shit happened with COVID. People just in complete denial that bad things can just happen and no one intends them.
Yesterday at 5:38 p.m., hours before this crash, an individual by Ghost Ezra, they made a Twitter post saying, "Something's happening and it's bigger than anyone realizes. Keep watching, eyes on the sky." Hours later from this Twitter post, the United States would have its worst airline crash it has had in years. Is this just another one of those?
Because it's scary and confusing and mean bad things could happen to them too. Yeah, but they're adults, so they should learn to deal with that, is what I'm like. It's yes, things are confusing and scary, correct, but checking out from reality is not an effective survival tool or coping mechanism. It's like dealing with children.
Coincidences. People
Rayline says, National Airport airspace is crazy crowded for such a tight area. There have been warnings about overcrowding for a long time. An accident was likely inevitable. I'm gonna grab some water real quick because I'm thirsty, so I'll be back in just a sec.
are naturally responding to this post by saying, what does this person know? Who are they? They are even going to the lengths of tagging Donald Trump, the FBI, and so forth. And I do have to say, the timing of this post is indeed very interesting. I mean, think of the odds of a major commercial airliner crashing in the United States and this post. That's astronomical.
People are constantly posting shit like that. If you look at Twitter, which I don't recommend, I haven't used Twitter in a while, but even back when I did use it, there's always someone saying something's happening. That's how conspiracy theorists are. Literally, that's happening all the time.
Astronomically big. In relation to this Twitter post, this eerie TikTok video came out yesterday, a day before this crash, by the Hawker's Eye.
Hi everyone, I've been away for quite a while, but I do have a couple of predictions for 2025. The first ones that I'm going to start with are to do with aviation. So I have two predictions regarding planes. The first one I get is a commercial plane. There's a lot of people on board and there's a lot of people affected by it. It's basically some sort of surprise attack on a commercial airplane. It's like, I keep getting the feeling that it's an inside job, as
Okay, so that's not what happened, so she's already wrong, but even if you are a conspiracy theory and think that, that's not a crazy prediction that something would happen with an airplane, considering all of the issues with Boeing. Do you not remember what a huge news story it was last year? The multiple incidents with Boeing planes? The attack thing is bullshit. But I'm assuming this woman, if this did actually come out before the plane crash, I'm assuming is basing this prediction off of all of the aviation incidents that have happened over the past couple of years.
in that it's someone who is on board and inside the plane, or someone who works for the airline is somehow involved in this, or possibly an airport worker. The second thing that I keep getting from it is that it's a man-made disaster, so it's done intentionally. It's the plane's actually targeted. It's not some sort of malfunction that happens. The second one is, I keep seeing some sort of small plane, like military or private jet, and it's got a very important couple on board, I feel like one of them is connected somehow to technology. Like there's some sort of business tycoon, if you like, and they like a champagne lifestyle. They like the finer things in life, and they like.
The longer she talks, the less it even resembles the actual incident.
To actually go out partying. I also get this couple have a celebrity-like following, like a big following on social media, quite successful on there. So it would be household names. People would know
Sanguinia, thanks for 15 months.
Who they are as soon as they
Appreciate
read
it.
the headline. I'm not sure which one comes first. I keep feeling as though it's going to be the commercial liner, the passenger plane, that's first, but it could flip. I just see the two of them, so I don't know which one's first.
And again, this video was uploaded yesterday.
Household name who? She's intentionally vague. She's cold reading, basically, and just hoping for the best.
It's very interesting because I do feel like this was a targeted incident. This was not.
Oh my god, so he's just going, look, this psychic said it, so this must be that. That's his evidence, is a TikTok self-proclaimed psychic. Wow. Wowzers in my trousers. That is a choice.
An accident. I mean, how often do we hear of helicopters crashing into commercial airliners? How often do we hear of Army helicopters, Black Hawks, crashing into commercial airliners? These Black Hawks are
That's very specific. What are you talking about?
very, very nimble. And I just can't buy the fact that this pilot did not see the lights on this plane.
Do you have any idea how fast commercial airplanes travel? Do you have any idea how fast they're going?
You know, accidents can happen. Maybe he really did not see the plane. But what I found odd at the time is that there were, again, articles after articles coming out stating how the pilot did not respond back to ATC. And what was even more interesting is that when ATC told the pilot about the plane, the pilot did not respond, and ATC had to do another follow-up to make sure the pilot had respond. And again, audio came out and there was no response from the pilot. There is even an article right here because, again, nobody heard the response on the original audio. Probe after United States Army Black Hawk reportedly did not respond to warnings before the United States crash. This led some people to believe, was anybody even on board the helicopter? Maybe they were not giving us the whole truth, because there are articles about how there is autonomous Black Hawk helicopters being tested by DARPA and Lockheed Martin. You can see this article right here by Defense Scoop. DARPA to test autonomous flight capability on Army's Black Hawk helicopter in 2025, the UH-60M, the same exact helicopter that crashed into this plane. So a lot of people were asking, maybe they were testing AI or the remote control capabilities of this Black Hawk. Now look, I am not saying that this is 100% how it happened, and maybe these news agencies did indeed jump the gun when it comes.
Why would they be testing a secret self-flying helicopter program at a commercial airport with no pilot inside? H-Bird says, whenever there's a major incident like that, a lot of early information is just wrong. We usually don't get the full story for a few days. Something to remember. Yeah, I try to avoid it, but I've already in this video said things that turned out to be incorrect, so I apologize for that. I'm trying to do my best.
Comes to the pilot not responding, but what are the odds that we never had something like this happen in the United States, an Army Black Hawk crash into a plane, a commercial plane?
You can't calculate the odds of that. It's not something you can actually calculate. Like, that's not how that works. Like, what are even the, like, if you're doing a probability, you need to know what are the total number of options and what are the number of times that this will happen within those options. It's like a ratio. It's a fraction, basically, that you turn into a percentage. You don't have the total number of events. This is not definable in the way you're asking for.
But the same year that we have DARPA and Lockheed Martin testing the autonomous features of a Black Hawk helicopter, well, the same Black Hawk helicopter that they are testing just happens to crash into a commercial helicopter. I mean, are we not allowed to talk about how suspect that sounds? Maybe this incident was caused to push and promote autonomous flying vehicles. You never know. Again, I just find the timing to be very suspicious. And going back to that very suspicious Twitter post, it seems like somebody knew something. Then after article after article about how the Black Hawk did not respond to ATC and that there's going to be an investigation as to why it did not respond, we are now getting audio coming out that the Black Hawk did indeed respond. So who really knows what's going on and who really knows what's the truth?
50% either it'll happen or it won't. Yep, that's how that works.
This audio was captured by pilot and flight enthusiast Brian Barlett from the DCA Tower, and he goes on to say how there could have been confusion, but he also goes on to say that even if that was the confusion, it's hard to imagine how you still don't see a not-so-small jet with its landing lights all on, coming in straight off your left side.
I hate that after events like this, everyone comes in like Captain fucking Hindsight and is like, oh, well, they should have done this. How did they not do this? People fuck up. People fuck up. Accidents happen. Sometimes everything that can go wrong will. That's a thing. Murphy's Law. Anything that can go... Eventually, something catastrophic will happen because sometimes things just line up real bad. Amber says you can't automate a helicopter. You can mostly automate something like a train that runs on a fixed route on a constant schedule, but cars, planes, and other things are more malleable. The EU is working on automating its trains, but they're still hiring human skeleton crews to act as oversight in case there's a malfunction. My understanding on airplanes is the biggest thing for autopilot that they still can't do effectively is land and take off. Otherwise, I think they can pretty much do their own thing. So turbulence might pose an issue. I don't know. I'm not a pilot.
Around an airport environment with traffic call-outs coming from the tower, I'd have my head on a swivel. I mean, it's really hard to say what you would do when you're in that seat at that exact moment, but the whole thing is just very strange. Now, again, I do want to give my condolences to the victims' families, and anybody involved in this crash.
Fuck you. If you have sympathy, then shut the fuck up and stop spinning a bunch of bullshit.
But I can't shake a few oddities about this story, especially the fact that DARPA, Lockheed Martin, they are testing the autonomous Black Hawk copter, the same copter that crashed into this plane. Very, very interesting. In this first disturbing video or segment, I'm sorry, is somebody lying here? Was somebody caught in a lie here? And this all has to do with the NASA astronauts supposedly stuck on the International Space Station. Why do I say supposedly? Well, I say supposedly because I don't believe they are actually stuck on the International Space Station. Butch Wilmore and Suni Williams, the astronauts. Because I have done plenty of videos covering these two ever since a supposed audio leak had came out where something happened to the commander and the flight doctor was rushing out to the hospital to meet the commander, who was supposedly stuck on the International Space Station. Now, I promise that will be the last time I use the word supposedly. Maybe. But anyway, there is something very strange about this story, and I'm not going to go over the whole thing again. I will go ahead and link the video.
Why'd he suddenly switch to NASA is lying? This is what he does. He covers multiple things per video.
In the section below my video, where I had spoken about what's really taking place here. So, why am I talking about this again? Well, on January 28th, Tuesday, Elon Musk made a post on Twitter stating that the Biden administration left 2 astronauts stranded on the
fuck off.
International Space Station.
It was Boeing's fault. Or no, I'm sorry, was it Boeing or was it the Jeff Bezos one? It may have been his one. Either way, what the fuck?
And said President Donald Trump has asked SpaceX to...
Asshole. Green guy with a $3 tip says, Hannah, in the Navy, we have radar systems that'll auto-land a plane in case the pilot was unconscious. They have a similar thing at most major airports. I know people who maintain them for a living. My information's very out of date.
To step in and...
It was Boeing?
Rescue these astronauts. Donald Trump, he would make a tweet on January 28th saying this: I have just asked Elon Musk and at SpaceX to go get the 2 brave astronauts who have been virtually abandoned in space by the Biden administration.
They haven't been! They were planning the rescue since it happened!
They have been
I'm so tired of just constantly having to sift through fucking lies. That's my main activity every day, is sifting through lies.
Waiting for many months on the space station. Elon will soon be on his way. Hopefully, all will be safe. Good luck, Elon. But again, I'm sorry, am I having deja vu? Is this what the cool kids call a Mandela effector? Or is somebody lying here? Because this news story came out back in September of 2024.
Yeah, it's a lie. That's so funny that he's like, is this Mandela effect or is someone lying? It's Donald Trump. He's lying. It's Donald Trump. He's lying.
And liftoff of Crew 9. Go Shaker, go Falcon, go NASA.
Elon Musk's SpaceX is on the way to help, leaving planet Earth behind.
And that Falcon 9 is now traveling faster than the speed of sound.
The Dragon capsule is bound for the international...
Isn't it great that Elon's basically shadow president now? He's one of the people on Earth I hate the most. Like, and you guys know that. My first stream on Twitch was literally making fun of Elon, like 4.5 years ago. So, things are going great.
Station. On board, Russian cosmonaut Alex Gorbanov and American astronaut Nick Hague.
Was a sweet ride. I'm pretty sure my youngest son would say it was Sigma.
When Dragon, nicknamed Freedom, returns, it will be carrying astronauts Butch Wilmore and Sonny Williams. They remained on the ISS after problems with the Boeing Starliner in June. When this SpaceX mission also became a rescue operation, room on board had to be freed. In the end, astronauts...
They're not stranded, the thing's already been there. Did they just decide to extend it because they were already there?
Zena Cardman and Stephanie Wilson missed out.
Human spaceflight is complicated and dynamic, and we need to be agile and focus on the mission.
Nick and Alex will dock at the ISS in the coming hours. They'll bring Butch and Sonny home early next year. In the United States, Jonathan Kersley, 9 News.
So when Elon Musk tweeted out again on January 28th, 2025, the POTUS has asked SpaceX to bring home the 2 astronauts stranded on the...
Oh, that's funny. So yeah, they're just lying.
...space station
Cool
as soon
beans.
as possible. Why...
I love constantly having to hear the official, like, mouthpieces of the American government just propagandizing to people and lying. Fun stuff.
Did he say that?
I'm gonna abandon this video. It's making me very sad. So I need to move on. Oh, look, it's the scalar energy guy again.
It is well understood that your body requires nutrients to survive and stay healthy. But the fact is that most people's bodies do not absorb nutrients properly.
What?
This can be due to the person's age, dietary intake, daily stress levels, and can be due to...
Maybe it's because all you're eating is pasta, hot dogs, tater tots, French fries. Like, everything on screen is junk food. Do you think maybe that's why you're not absorbing enough nutrients?
Person's age, dietary intake,
oh, they add some peppers.
daily stress
There you go.
levels, and, most importantly, the health of their gut. The big question is, when was the last time you had the health of your gut checked? Because, without a doubt, the health of your gut is at the helm when it comes to how your body absorbs nutrients. Look, the bottom line is that unless you have your own lab in your home, figuring out the exact amount of your body's nutrient absorption
No,
is
we didn't do Evil Gina today. She's not good. She's not well. I'm not really covering her anymore.
merely guess.
Oh, also Gina is Evil Gina now, too. She's a big Trump supporter, so... There's 2 Evil Ginas now.
Meet Tom Palladino, a scalar energy researcher who has more than 25 years of experience helping people around the world with the scalar energy machine. Tom has addressed the global epidemic of nutrient deficiency by developing the breakthrough Scalar Energy Nutrient Therapy Program. He is actually able to instruct his machine, by way of scalar energy instructions, to rearrange the existing elements of the human body into the molecular form of nutrients.
It's turning your body into nutrients?
My scalar energy nutrient program is able to assemble vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, fatty acids, amino acids, and phytochemicals inside the human body.
Wow.
In practice, I take a photograph of a vitamin. For instance, I would take a photograph of vitamin B6 and insert it inside my scalar energy instrument.
But when you insert a virus with a photo of a person, it destroys the virus. So why in this case doesn't it destroy all the B vitamin in their body? He can't even stay consistent as to how his own machine works.
My instrument would pick up the molecular structure of vitamin B6 and then broadcast that energy into a person. In so doing, in practice, in principle, the elements that are already pre-existing inside the human body, such as carbon, oxygen, nitrogen, phosphorus, are reassembled, are rearranged into vitamin B6 in the body. It's a form of transmutation. As such, the Scalar Energy Nutrient Program can indeed assemble vitamin B6 inside the human body, all by way of scalar light instructions. I call this my Scalar Energy Nutrient Program.
Oxygen, nitrogen, the scalar energy.
Sorry, I thought it was done.
The scalar energy nutrient therapy works on a quantum level and does not.
Quantum level shows a molecule? You know, quantum, like molecule size. God damn it.
Depend upon the metabolic system for the body to absorb nutrients. Amazingly, the scalar energy instrument uses the elements already existing in the body as building blocks to assemble the nutrients. These elements are in the form of carbon, hydrogen, magnesium, oxygen, nitrogen, sodium, phosphorus, and calcium, among others. And to make this breakthrough
I don't think I did. I'll look, Saint Sanguinia. I guess I didn't notice, but I'll look.
Even more amazing, the process is done remotely.
Wow, look at that early 2000s picture.
It is interesting to note that scalar energy has existed since the beginning of time. However, it's only recently that its benefits are being utilized for mankind. Please feel free to contact us to find out more. May God grant you excellent health.
Oh boy. Oh, by the way, we have about half an hour left of the stream. If you want to support the stream, consider gifting subs. We're 13 subs away now from our monthly goal, and this is the last day of the month. Oh, it was a joke? I gotcha. Is Gina still on the master bingo card? I don't think... Was she ever? I don't think she is. Oh, you mean like the dancing. Yes, she is. Fandom guy, thanks for subscribing on YouTube. Oh my god. No. I don't know if you read that. Oh, fuck. It says, Phaeton Zuluphile, who was first tested HIV positive 17 years ago. Has now tested negative. Fuck off! He's telling people he can cure HIV with his fucking dog shit snake oil machine. Scumbag. Phyllis Filler says, you enjoy Evil Gina, but you're concerned about your health, eternal soul? Now get all the taste at just 1/5 of the Evil Gina Light, available at Hetero Depot and other okay-ish retailers. Foxers, thanks for 13 months of your subscription with Prime. In a country with many challenges, is he gonna talk? I might have to read this whole thing. Okay, I'm skipping. Exploitative bastard.
Scalar light is the creative intelligence of the universe. You can see this intelligence at work when the sun comes up each day, or with the change of seasons. And
that doesn't mean anything. Those are just physical phenomena that we can predict and describe using, like, physics. What are you talking about? We know why those things happen. It's not some secret kind of energy.
Even the ebb and flow of the tide. There are many names synonymous for this life force energy, as cultures throughout the world reverence this gift from the Creator.
So he's claiming scalar energy is just like any form of esoteric energy anyone believes in? That's casting a wide net. Screaming at the radio, thanks for 44 months, almost kicking off a hype train.
Scalar light is...
Marco says, on a positive note, scientists have legitimately been making promising progress towards an actual HIV cure. It's not this snake oil nonsense. I'll see if I can find the article. I have heard that. I know some people have been cured via bone marrow transfusions with people who are naturally immune to HIV, which is a very, very, very small portion of the population. Like, it's incredibly, incredibly rare. Like, but that's not really mass reproducible.
Is referred to as mana, prana, or chi by cultures throughout the world.
We're doing synchronism. We're claiming that all esoteric energy is the same thing. Nemesaur, thank you for gifting 10 Tier 1 subs to the community. We are now 1 sub away from our goal. And on a hype train.
Our bodies receive this life force energy, or intelligence, in many ways. We are continually receiving input through our food, water, air, and even the thoughts we think.
This is like an AI image of chakras or something.
We have body systems that receive information and relay into our DNA continuously. Our body then responds to the changes.
Okay.
Our DNA continuously. Our body then responds to the changes from the information collected.
Yeah, sure. Okay, that's information. Okay.
Scalar light remotely delivers this light transmission to your biofield. Scalar light is a quantum healing modality that imparts perfect intelligence to every cell of our bodies by providing corrective intelligence and instructions to our DNA. This corrective intelligence is vital to the health and healing of the human body.
I hate this guy. I really, really do. He's such a scumbag. I'm sorry. I know. H-Bird says, you said it enough times that I have to.
Peter, it's great they picked your theme, but isn't it a little esoteric?
Esoteric? Could it mean sexy?
I think it's a science term.
Fellas, esoteric means delicious.
Lois, who's the boss is not a food?
Icky Neko, thanks for gifting a sub and getting us to our goal. We did it. 47% to level 4. We got our sub goal for the month. Thank you very much, everyone. I appreciate it.
My name is Tom Palladino. I'm in my laboratory with my scalar energy instrument.
That audio's crispy.
Hi, I'm Tom Palladino. This is a scalar energy laboratory. I'm working with a scalar energy instrument that allows me to work with people by way of a photograph. This is my photograph that's filled with information.
Icky Neko, thanks for your 19 months of subscription, says, woo, we did it, we did!
Anybody's photograph has scalar energy signatures or a scalar energy force field attached to their photograph. So people will email me a photograph and I'll actually place a photograph of a person inside that instrument. Now my photograph is being sent information from this Tesla tower. That's a scalar energy process. It's not a biological process. Now I've developed this instrument so I can take photographs of natural foods. Here's a magnified photograph of spinach. And if I wanted to treat myself for the energy of spinach, I would actually take this magnified photograph of spinach.
Is this how Popeye did it?
Place it side by side, my photograph, inside the scalar energy instrument. So the energy of spinach, the scalar energy of spinach is downloading into my scalar energy force field. And this way we can recreate, we can, if you will, assemble the
phytochemicals found on spinach into my quantum field. This is our natural foods program. We offer 30 days of free sessions of natural foods, in which all you have to do is email us your photograph. Here's another example. This is a magnified photograph of lettuce. And this photograph of lettuce has
Technically, it's a magnification of mostly water.
information. There's a scalar energy code. There's a scalar energy signature
Minute left on the hype train.
any natural food. Placing that photograph of lettuce side by side my photograph. Now my photograph is being downloaded with phytochemicals, or at least downloaded with the information of phytochemicals to assemble a phytochemical inside.
Phyto just means like plant, right? Am I crazy? He's just basically saying, we're gonna fill you with plant chemicals! But he's saying phyto because it sounds more jargony. Sounds like he knows what he's talking about. Hydrate. We're gonna fill you with all the plant chemicals! H-Bird says, if a photograph has scalar energy, would copy in the photograph mean that each photo had half as much energy? If not, is this an infinite scalar energy glitch? I have so many questions. Me too. Fennikagami says, I hate to ask this, guys, but if anyone can spare me some help, that would be great. I'll be back to work starting next week. My family and I just need some help getting over the hump. Anything you can give is appreciated, and there's a link to the GoFundMe. If you can, please help out Fennikagami. Ritara says, wait, if I did this to a photo of the observable universe, would I ascend to godhood? That's the secret. That's why he's the only one with a machine. Too powerful.
My quantum field. This is the natural foods program in which we can assure...
How does he know he's not downloading his energy into the cabbage? Energy cabbage. Meat cabbage. Saint Sanguinia says, is there a thing on the bingo card for random science words? That pretty much falls under word salad.
The downloading of phytochemicals, various types of antioxidants, various types of amino acids,
Various
etc.,
types.
through the quantum plane by way of a person's photograph. This is the Natural Foods program.
Jesus. Green guy with a $3 tip says, this is making me hungry. I'm going to heat up some pizza and shove it in my face. That sounds great. Pizza sounds real good.
Welcome to my Scalar Light Laboratory. My name is Tom Palladino. I'm a Scalar Light researcher. In the background, you'll see some of my Scalar Light instruments that I work with. Now, these instruments access a dimension. It's known as scalar energy. This is not electromagnetic energy. And scalar
Then
energy...
why are you using Tesla coils to produce it? Because Tesla did work with electromagnetic energy. That's what he's famous for, was his work on AC current. Well, that's like ATM machine. On AC, alternating current.
He is able to communicate within the universe at instantaneous communication.
He also tried to do work on sending electricity wirelessly that wasn't very fruitful because of the nature of electricity and how it diminishes over a range exponentially.
So there's no time lag when we're working with scalar energy. It's instantaneous communication. What I've also learned about scalar energy, it's non-physical. So this is a pure essence. It's the essence of God. I consider it to be the omnipresence of God. And today I'm going to explain how I would access the herpes virus by way of a person's photograph and then break down or transmute the herpes virus by way of this instrument, all within the quantum field, all within the scalar energy force field.
Does this mean that he could, using his machine in his own beliefs or in his own claims, could he send someone herpes? If he really didn't like someone, could he just be like, haha, take this?
So when I work with these instruments, I work with photographs. Now this is my photograph. These instruments only work with photographs. Why? Because we access information, scalar energy information on a photograph. So if I were to place my photograph inside...
I really want to know how much money he's made on this scam over the years. He's been doing it for years, so it must fool people. People must give him money for this.
This instrument, there would be an immediate connection, communication, instantaneous communication with the scalar energy paradigm. That's a different paradigm than that of electricity and magnetism. So placing my photograph inside the instrument, my photograph now is enjoying a scalar energy communication.
Is he saying he has herpes? I don't know. I think like 20% of Americans have herpes, so it's statistically not unlikely, but I don't really care either way.
Now keep in mind, I only work with the spirit.
I would never make fun of someone for having herpes. Doesn't matter to me.
Body. This is not a physical session. I only work with photographs, and those photographs I can access a non-physical dimension, what I consider to be the light of Jesus Christ. Now, I'm going to demonstrate how with a scalar energy instrument, I can detect a microbe on a photograph and then break down or transmute that microbe. I'm holding in my hand a magnified photograph of the herpes virus. This is the herpes simplex virus. And by working with photographs of microbes, I'm able to detect the molecular genetic structure of the herpes virus. So scalar energy will interpret the molecular and genetic structure of the herpes virus. And in so doing, it will send information.
I love molecules.
To break down those molecular bonds that hold together the genetic structure of the herpes simplex virus. So I'm going to place this photograph of the herpes simplex virus inside the scalar energy instrument so that there will be an immediate communication between the herpes simplex virus and my quantum field. So now these two photographs are inside the scalar energy instrument. There's an immediate communication, an immediate connection, if you will, non-physical connection between the photograph of the herpes virus and my photograph. So this is quantum entanglement, or perhaps what some people call the
That easy, folks. Quantum entanglement. Hang it up, physicists. He did it with a box and some Tesla coils.
Connection, the life force connection. I consider it to be the mystical body of Christ. So with this design, with this protocol, I'm able to detect, to actually monitor if I were to have the herpes virus inside my quantum body, not inside my physical body, inside my scalar energy quantum body.
Fuck is a quantum body? Green Guy says, on the way to work, I heard on the radio that they were doing the polar plunge today. It hit 72 Fahrenheit today. 2 weeks ago, the high was 26. Not much of a, just a regular plunge then, huh?
By way...
How do you measure the light of God? With a prism? Get a prism. Prisms are a science light thing.
Of my photograph. Everything is done by way of a photograph. So this protocol that you see behind me is now the straightforward method of detecting the herpes virus in the quantum field, the presence of the herpes virus in the information field. And I do that by a photograph once again.
Measure it with your mouth frequencies?
Of the herpes
I think
virus.
we're taking oral fixation a bit far. Leave God's energy alone.
Acting, communicating with my photograph. So this is non-physical science. And with this type of arrangement, I'm able to detect the presence of the herpes virus inside my photograph and then break down, transmute, destroy that genetic structure of the herpes virus that is found on my photograph.
Genetic structure. Viruses don't have a nucleus. They don't have a genetic structure as such. Am I incorrect in that? Right?
So this is the technique that I've developed that employs this notion of quantum
They do have genes? Are they just not... They don't have nucleuses. I know that.
Entanglement.
I don't think they do. They do have DNA and RNA? Okay, I apologize. I'm incorrect.
Universe communicates with everything else. So those two photographs are communicating with one another. In other words, the photograph of the herpes virus is communicating with my photograph. And in so doing, I'm able to download, I'm able to send information into my quantum field to look for the herpes virus and to break down that molecular structure, those molecular bonds are non-physical, to break down the molecular bonds of the herpes virus. Now, this is a new process. I've developed this process. I don't know of anybody else in the world that is working.
You judge God by how large a starship they have, but what would God need with a starship?
This process.
I think that's the first time anyone set me up for that in a way that makes sense.
Why? Well, the instruments are unique, and as an inventor, as a theorist, this is my process. So what you're looking at is perhaps the threshold of a new science, quantum science, the ability to identify microbes.
The whole point of a virus is it's a packaged up chunk of genes that went rogue and needs cells to reproduce themselves. Well, that seems rude. They should stop it.
And then break down those microbes, all by way of scalar energy instruments in the quantum field, which is non-physical, by way of photographs. So thus far, there is no scientific protocol to prove or disprove my work. This is
literally all you would need to do is demonstrate that someone has the virus that they have, and then you do your thing, and then you test and see if they still have the virus. What are you talking about? Do a double-blind study. What are you fucking talking about? What? Actually, the thing I believe is unfalsifiable, which I've decided is a good thing for some reason.
New and groundbreaking research. And I look forward to the...
No science will prove my work is a horrible pitch. It's a good pitch if your primary marks are people who distrust experts and doctors.
Day when a third party, a scientific group, will either try to prove or disprove my work. So that is, if you will, a thumbnail sketch of how a scalar energy instrument works to break down a microbe, transmute a microbe in the non-physical plane. Again, I'm Tom Palladino. I'm a scalar light researcher. Thank you for your attention to this new and emerging science. I think it has great potential. These are free energy devices that someday will liberate mankind from that encumbrance of costly energy.
There's no such thing as free energy. It has to come from somewhere.
Thank you.
All right, one more of these. One more. I'm sorry. I'm obsessed with him today. This one's only a minute long.
Hi, I'm Tom Palladino. I'm a scalar light researcher. I'm in my laboratory with my scalar light instruments. And I want to demonstrate just how powerful these instruments are.
Penigagami says a virus is a strip of DNA or RNA wrapped in a protein. They work by the protein bonding to a membrane of a cell to inject the genetic code into the cell. Then the code steals the cell gene replication mechanism to replicate itself until the cell explodes. Alternatively, the virus genes can merge with the cells, causing mutations, which is the principle of gene manipulation.
I'm holding in my hand a fluorescent tube. This tube is still in the factory.
Mayo Emery's of Caldera with a $5 tip says, I get the feeling this guy couldn't tell the difference between a paradigm and 20 cents. I won't even boo that pun. That's a really good pun. Hell yeah.
Packaging. When I place this fluorescent tube close to the scalar energy instrument, it illuminates.
Yes, because it's a fluorescent light, and that's how they work. The gases inside get excited by the electromagnetic field that you've just put it in, and that it lights up. That's how they work. That's what a fluorescent light does.
That's how powerful scalar energy is. It fills my laboratory. Now, in practice, I work with people by way of their photographs. This is my photograph.
You can do the same thing with neon.
It has an information field. It's embedded with energy. And when I place a person's photograph inside the scalar energy instrument, we download scalar energy into their quantum field. And in so doing, when we download that energy, we can balance the chakras, we can
entangle it with my herpes.
We can create
gonna get rid of herpes.
So this is a groundbreaking approach.
I have so much herpes.
And this is the new approach to quantum wellness. Visit my website, scalarlight.com, in order to find out more about my groundbreaking discoveries. Thank you.
What a guy. Hmm. What's this?
Excellent.
I don't know much about this, but this is from Space Busters.
Nicole Murphy, it's lovely to finally put a face to the text and the voice. We've been talking quite a lot. I was introduced to your work through my friend Sarah, and I was really blown away because I really like the way you explain syncretism. You're very simple. You don't use big words. You use really great little, I call them little homemade ghetto graphics and hand tools and all.
No.
You'll see my terrible graphics later on.
Did he put Vaseline on his webcam? Yeah, he needs to wipe it off. It is greasy or something.
I've got the computer version. But yeah, so your channels are on Rumble, Law of the Luminaries, right? And on Telegram, it's the Keystone, is it?
Yeah, you can find it at the Keystone or at the Breakdown 1718.
Videos.
Right. Yeah. Can I ask? Because we've got a lot of stuff to cover today. We're going to dispel a lot of BS that's going on around there.
Cool.
And at the second half, we're going to cover the dun 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 24-hour sun. And
okay.
we think it's a good thing, and we'll get into that.
Yeah.
Everyone's going, nuts over this, and it's not really a big deal. It really confirms all the syncretism. But can I ask you, like, how long have you been studying syncretism, and how'd you get into it?
Syncretism specifically?
Oh my god, are they using, I can't tell if they're going to be using syncretism correctly or incorrectly. Probably incorrectly. They're going to use it as a positive, like they're going to use it as like, ah yes, this is very real. We are actually seeing that all these things are the same thing, and that's a good thing because it's true. Oh no.
Or these topics, yeah, specifically.
Well, so I was actually a level earther in 6th grade. I challenged my science teacher on gravity in 6th grade.
And you wound up here. You're consistent, I'll give you that.
And my parents were a little like outside the box. And it was actually my mom that taught me the noon sun. And they didn't have all the answers per se. But definitely they thought differently, and that kind of got passed down. So it's been a forever process in different phases. Like some I was really focused on, and other phases, I'm having kids, I'm unschooling my kids.
Oh no! That's child abuse. I consider, like, there are people who have arguments for homeschooling. I don't like homeschooling, but there are scenarios in which that can work if they're actually being taught, like, decent education. And maybe if your parent is a teacher and knows, like, decent pedagogy. I don't know. But, like, random assholes, if you don't know what unschooling is, it's taking your kid so they're not in public school, but you're also not really doing homeschooling. They learn themselves, or they can come to you to ask to learn about things, but you just basically let them do whatever they want and find their own interests. And certainly, kids finding their own interests and exploring those things is a key aspect of development. But it's not the only aspect of development that's important. Sometimes you do need to just sit a kid down and teach them how to read, or teach them math. And they don't do that, so their kids are illiterate. Their kids don't know math. They're ignorant, and it's the parents' fault, and it disgusts me. These parents should be in jail.
I'm deciding what I want to teach them and not teach them. So it's been through all of life, and I've been part of the medical freedom movement for 25 years. I worked with autistic kids.
Oh my god, those poor fucking kids. Holy shit.
Back when Andy Wakefield came out and...
Okay, I'm abandoning this. I'm already mad, and we're at the end of the stream. I'd rather not be super mad. Rather not be super mad. Oh, look, a Star Trek video. That's probably fun, right?
Hey guys, it's Matt.
This is probably the last video we're covering today, by the way.
This is proof of not milk times about 1 billion. About 2 days ago, a company on YouTube called Otoy or Otoy, working with all the original creators of Star Trek, the Roddenberry Foundation, Paramount Pictures that owns Star Trek, released a 10-minute movie that wraps up Star Trek, wraps up the Captain Kirk, Leonard Nimoy.
Yeah, it doesn't wrap up Star Trek, it wraps up, it's like, it's the end of Shatner, or Kirk's life.
Spock generation of Star Trek. It is almost entirely AI. It's deep faked. There's almost no dialogue, and it is off the charts in terms.
I don't think it used AI. It uses CG, but I don't believe it uses AI.
Of these,
Wasn't Kirk in the Nexus? Yes, and then he died on Viridian 3. I want to say, which is a terrible ending for him, but.
Words that I like to make fun of: occult and esoteric symbolism, and the difference between the elect and the profane, and the initiated and the great unwashed, and all that horse shit. But this is the very definition of proof of not milk. The people will watch this. Oh, it's so wonderful. They brought a close to Star Trek. This is riddled with their symbolism, esoteric, occult. I don't know exactly what it means. I don't care what it means.
You made a 37-minute video about it. I think you care.
Symbolism is for them. Remember that, guys. We don't need one bit of it. It's very interesting to analyze. These creeps do business in really unique and interesting ways. We're going to analyze it, but we don't need one bit of it. It's always for them. The next 2 minutes or less of this video, I'm going to describe what happens here in 765-874 unification for the long-haul truckers. If you're the type of person that just has to see this before continuing with my video, the link's below. But there's nothing that happens. It's just there's no dialogue.
There's nothing that happens. Can he not decipher visual storytelling? A lot happens in that. Like, I'm not saying you need to like this short, but it certainly tells a story. It just does so without words. I don't think he can interpret visual storytelling if he thinks nothing happened in this.
Kirk drifts through a very surreal environment. It's very similar to the end of 2001, A Space Odyssey. In my opinion, he has died. He goes back to something which resembles the Nexus, which was the first Star Trek movie that, it's called Generations, I believe, that combined Captain Picard with Captain Kirk.
First and only.
I guess it is a little bit hard for me to describe. If you have a ton of time, I guess go watch it now, but please come back here.
Wally has very little dialogue, lots happens. Yeah, I'm wondering, if he watched like the first, whatever it is, 20, 30 minutes of Wally, whatever the parts are without dialogue, except for, Eva saying Wally and Eva. Would he say nothing happens in that? Is he unable to discern things that aren't, like, literally explained to him in exposition?
It's long, it's drawn out, and it does get a lot of Major League Star Trek fans emotional. The reason they're getting emotional is because it just gives the people a glimpse of what was, the greatness of what was, starting in...
I liked it because it felt gay. I liked it because, as far as I'm concerned, it borderline canonized Spock / Kirk. If you haven't seen it, that's how I choose to interpret the ending.
1965, 1966, with the first pilot episode called The Cage. My theory here is from the first...
I would say it felt gay. They didn't kiss or anything.
Pilot.
It was just a very tender moment between them.
1966, the entire map or script of Star Trek was mapped out through what was just released by Otoy 2 or 3 days ago. It was laid down...
Yeah, homo-romantic vibes is a good way to put it.
Over 50 years ago. This is consistent with how they do business. Everything is interlinked and related. The message here, I believe, is huge, and it relates back. Now, you could take...
Yeah, The Cage was the pilot with Pike. The second pilot was the one with, was it Gary Mitchell, who got turned into a superhuman thing? And that was called Where No Man Has Gone Before, I want to say.
whatever symbolism away. Just if you want to break down this 10-minute short film, which again, everything's deep faked, there's an actor walking and they just mask via AI Kirk or William Shatner's face on top. You could take a lot of symbolism away from just this, but it actually relates back to the first pilot. Pilot, out with it, Junior! It all relates, which is so proof of not milk, which means the message was laid.
Not milk. Proof of not milk. I do not know what he means by the euphemism not milk.
Down, not episode by episode on the fly, but over 60 years ago. And if it was laid out over 60 years ago, it probably was first created and sketched out back in Mystery Babylon, whatever the heck that is. Okay, guys, I sat here for a few minutes, and there's no possible way I can continue to summarize it. We need to just dive into one element at a time, understand each element and the way it's being presented, and I'll do my best to try to tie it all together at the end. But there's no way to do this up front, giving you a preview of what's... I need to do each element at a time. There's just too much here. It's too off the charts. So again, 2 to 3 days ago, this website, YouTube channel, OTOY, comes out with what is going to be considered the final little Star Trek...
I'll look it up and see if I can find something on the internet.
Movie. It's associated with Gene Roddenberry, William Shatner, Captain Kirk, executive producer, as well as Paramount Pictures, which makes it canon, which means it's considered to be the official and approved story. The opposite of that would be if I wrote a little mini short story about Luke Skywalker running off to the Castro district in San Francisco. That wouldn't be approved by George Lucas and the fans as part.
Urban Dictionary just says it means come, but I can't imagine that's what he means, right?
Part of the lineage of the story. They decided to go with that horrible Rey character as canon, if you can believe that. But that's what canon means. This is official. And it is a little weird not milk bow that wraps everything that was before it up.
Not milk. Okay, he can't be meaning come.
Planned 60 years in advance. So, of course, we have to start with, what does 765874 mean? What does it code to? Yeah, I ran it through the gematria calculators. I'll get to the gematria. I'll get to that. Okay, just relax. But those going to the gematria calculators, just relax and put your feet up. I got you covered. Did all that horse shit. Or what does 765874 unification mean? Well, it goes back to the initial pilot episode of Star Trek, where William Shatner wasn't even the captain.
Gematria on the bingo card.
In Kirk. It was a pilot from 1966 that failed. Based on its failure, they thought Star Trek wouldn't even continue. There was a Captain Pike in charge of the Enterprise, played by an actor, I forget his name. The initial pilot was called The Cage, and I believe it relates right back to what this Otoy put out just a few days ago, all planned in advance. It was a pilot episode which only, only aired once, and the audience doesn't like it. We're not going to be able to move forward with Star Trek. It's a failure. And then you all know the rest of the story. They tried again with William Shatner. Now it's a success. I'm saying it's all planned out.
It failed in the sense that the studio executives weren't interested, but with the backing of Lucille Ball, they decided to issue a second pilot, which of course took off, and the rest is history.
But let's just take it one step at a time. In the initial pilot called The Cage, with Captain Pike, no William Shatner, but Spock was in it. Leonard Nimoy was the only one that went forward with the new series. There was a insignificant, or relatively insignificant, character, Yeoman Colt. Yes, I forget the name of the young actress, 28-year-old young actress that played Yeoman, which is like ensign, Colt, C-O-L-T. Her Starfleet number is 765874. Now, you're telling me, that the little 10-minute movie that is canon, that wraps up the entire 60-year legacy of Star Trek, is titled after
It's the star date. Supposed to be the star date. It could be a coincidence, or the person that was deciding what star date this took place on decided to do a reference. Either way, does it matter?
Relatively unknown character named Yeoman Colt that made, a 25-minute appearance in the pilot, who then did not continue with the Star Trek series when all
Just a peach with a $1 tip says, if you think everything was planned, then there are huge holes in the plan.
all the, Sulu and
What is not milk? It's not this. No, there is a brand of non-dairy milk that is called not milk. That is not what he means. So I don't know what he means. It doesn't make sense in context if he literally meant that. He's using it as a euphemism for something, and I can't figure out what it is.
Spock and Kirk and Chekhov and all of them went forward. This Yeoman
Chekhov didn't show up until season 2.
Colt
Fake fan.
did not go forward with the first 2 seasons of Star Trek. So, you're naming the final wrap-up, one of the most important things ever done in Star Trek, after an unknown character from the first episode called The Cage. The purpose, of course, is to tie them together or create bookends with the very first pilot, The Cage. Yeah, we'll talk about the meaning of that title a little bit later and link it to what this Otoy just did.
But I already went over that, Jay's Proxy. Ejaculate doesn't make sense as the euphemism. That doesn't make sense. We've heard him use the phrase, and that wouldn't make sense if you inserted that in.
765874, but to tie them together, to tie the very last to the very first. And if anybody's a real Star Trek fan, I know that this Otoy's put out over the last few years a few different AI or deepfake little tiny movies using the same number in preparation for the monster symbolism 10-minute movie.
My guess, this is my speculation right now. I'm thinking by not milk, he is referencing non-dairy milk alternatives, and he may be using it as a euphemism for something that is imitating something good, but doing so poorly. I disagree with that. Personally, I'm a big fan of oat milk. I prefer it over dairy milk. But, he, I imagine, thinks of milk as this wholesome, good thing that's ruined by vegans and progressives, you know what I mean? So I assume he's using that as a euphemism when he's referring to Star Trek. I think he's calling modern Star Trek not milk in the sense that it is copying Star Trek, but he thinks it is an inferior product.
Movie that they just dropped. Now here we go with this profane versus the elect horse shit. To the fans, oh, it's just fun. Oh, isn't that fun? Oh my god, oh, they really did that? They titled it.
H-Beard says maybe soy milk is just Spanish milk introducing itself.
But it's what it is. Oh, I figured it out. 765874. There's this character in the pilot called Yeoman Colt, and all the final little
No offense, but that's the exact kind of references Trekkies love, so that might be intentional. I don't know if it is. It could just be random, but if it's intentional, it wouldn't surprise me.
Segments in the movie, the final segment, which is canon, it's just for fun. They tied it to one of the original characters in the pilot, to the profane. See, it's just fun. That's not symbolism. That's just pretty pictures. That's the difference. See, they laugh. They laugh at the great unwashed. We don't really care what they mean by it, but
Phyllis Filler says they waited until season 2 to check off that character on the to-do list. I'm sorry. Apology not accepted.
At least we notice it. And yes, first grade truthers, this is for you. I had to do it here. The gematria, the gematria. I had to run it through the stupid calculators. This is for you. 765874, ordinal, reduction, reverse reduction, 37, 37, 37, 37. Well, any number always comes out the same. That's not unusual. Only when you have letters is it different. 37. Well, let's get back to potentially what this means. I just want to show you what it comes out to.
You literally just added all the single-digit numbers together.
In terms of the gematria. Now, after each segment, as it builds, we're going to have to do the My Cousin Vinny identical. Same model car, entire. We're going to need to do this so we don't forget. The title of the final short story canon movie that wraps up all 60 years of Star Trek is tied back to the original.
It is on purpose. Thank you, Harold Ebelman.
Pilot and a relatively unknown character. Identical. All right, let's do 3 minutes or a little bit less on the first pilot episode called The Cage. The Cage by itself can be considered to be a gigantic truth drop as to how this reality works. If the rest of Star Trek didn't even exist, The Cage is significant on its own. So it's not, again, William Shatner, Captain Kirk, it's Captain Pike. There's a distress call. There's this planet called Telos or something like that. a distress call. They investigate. They take an away team down, and there are these aliens. The
Telosians
on the left there with a large skull and brain have lured them in as a trap because these Telosians need, I believe, both men and women to repopulate their planet.
No! You don't even know the fucking plot, you asshole. It's called The Cage. They have a menagerie. They keep a variety of species in like a zoo, basically. It's a menagerie, if you know what a menagerie is. But like it's like a zoo that they house all these creatures in, and they already have a woman who was part of a crash, so they're glad that they now have a human male in Christopher Pike that can be a companion to her.
There's only a few of them left. It's absolutely an Adam and Eve situation that's confirmed right from the very end of the movie, The Cage, where Yeoman Colt there on the left, not the bald woman with the giant head, the one that looks like a regular woman, says to Pike, who, if we didn't, obviously they get out. There's always a happy ending at the end of Star Trek. I'm not giving
episode
that.
About a zoo is called The Cage, shocker. The original was called The Cage, and then the footage from the original pilot, which never aired originally, was repurposed later into a 2-part episode that's one of the best 2-parters, like, of Star Trek ever, I would say. The Menagerie. Great fucking episodes.
That away. She said, who would you have chosen? What? As your Eve, right at the end of the episode, who would you have chosen as your Eve? If he is, in this case, if he would have agreed to stay or been trapped, he would have been Adam to repopulate. The Genesis reference is already in the episode, yet you have that to close, which completely, we're going to, don't forget this part, tied into Genesis 1 of the Bible, completely intentionally. So just to wrap this up, 1 minute or less, the Telosians, it's a planet devoid of any life. It's all rock and deserty, and they create, through mind control and the big brains and the big skulls, they create illusions. And at first it seems very nice, and it's not just desert with no grass and no trees. It's lush. And, I'm just making this stuff up. It's like this. Commander or Captain Pike thinks he's eating this.
Captain. He's a captain. He's not a commander.
Of course, lobster and crab and souffles, and it's just a dried snail on a rock. I mean, it's all an illusion. And, of course...
By the way, Strange New Worlds, the Star Trek series, a more recent one, is actually a show that basically does this original Star Trek. It goes back, and it's Captain Pike and Spock on the Enterprise years before Kirk. Highly recommend if you're a Star Trek fan. It's great. It's like some of the only new Trek that I really like. I also like Lower Decks. But this show's like genuinely a good Star Trek show. So check it out. If you haven't seen it, I'd recommend it if you're a Star Trek fan. Kirk does show up, and I actually like the guy they got to play Kirk a lot. Like, you can't beat William Shatner, though I wish you could, fucking asshole. But, the guy they got evokes, I can believe it's a young Kirk. He does a lot better than Chris Pine. No offense to the guy, but he was a bad Kirk.
What happens, of course, they start to see through the illusion. Commander Pike starts to be able to put himself in an emotional state. In this case, it's anger, which is maybe to throw us off. But he can put himself in an emotional state where the mind control of the Telosians no longer works on him.
City on the Edge of Forever is the best Star Trek episode. I really like Amok Time. I don't know. OK Corral's a good episode, too. There's so many good episodes.
In the show, it's presented as anger, but maybe I don't think, to you and me, it's not anger. They couldn't give too much away, right? So, of course, I'm not giving anything away. They escape, and, they have some sort of an agreement at the end with the Telosians. They don't act as the Adam and Eve to repopulate the way the Telosians once wanted, but you have so many elements. The cage itself, a positioned as superior race, presenting an illusion or a crafted manipulation because for what they can't do themselves, an outcome they can't achieve on their
Days
own.
of Proxy says, my mentor had to raise $50,000 to get Shatner to make like a 20-minute appearance for a graduation event for my college program. Not worth it. Not worth it. Don't give Shatner that money.
So there's a lot of things here, guys. I'm not. We could probably do an hour just on this episode, but I've got to try to move on and link this up with the final 10-minute little mini movie that just dropped. Look at this.
Okay. I think we're done. We're already over time for today. And that guy's really annoying, if I'm being honest. Let's see who we're gonna rate on Twitch. Thank you all for hanging out with me today. I really appreciate it. Let's see. I don't think I'll be streaming tomorrow. It's the first of the month and I normally don't, so I think I'll be taking tomorrow off, but yeah, it would be good. Thank you everyone for hanging out. Thanks so much for helping this month with like the tip goal, everything. And we got the sub goal too. Incredible. You're such a great audience and I really appreciate the fact that you support the stream because I couldn't do it without y'all. So, have a great weekend. Love you too, Mr. Blast. I will see you probably Sunday. So yeah, we'll hang out and do something Sunday. See you then. Bye-bye. Love you, Mr. Blast. Bye, everyone. Adios.